Sorry. Mic check. I blew it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I screwed it all up. I didn't realize that I had the wrong screen up. And so for all the gamblers out there gambling on the hat today, I apologize. That's on me. I cheated. I was lost. It's always embarrassing to be on camera when you don't know that you're on camera. Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. We had a nice late night date night with Admir. I hope that your hearts are full. I hope that your stomachs are full. We had a drop in from Jeffrey. It was quite a night last night. The Russian guy was weird last night. I've been thinking about that so much. I don't understand how you become that person. I really wanted him to give me an honest answer of how he became a person who like goes online as an American citizen and runs cover for Russia. That was honestly so bizarre. Does Gary provide VHS tapes too? Only for rent. Only for rent. Diddy was acquitted. I saw that. I haven't followed that case. Like I don't know how good his lawyers were. I don't really know the details of that case at all, so I probably can't speak to if that was a good ruling or not. Everybody seems like unanimously outraged by it, though, so that's probably a good indication that it was a bad outcome. Is there any like pro Diddies here? We got any pro Diddies? Is anybody here like my boy Diddy got off? Where's Donald? Is Donald here? How come all of Trump's friends keep getting busted being sex pests? I don't know. Sex criminals, sex pests. Let me adjust the gift goal here. Get that. Yeah, weird night last night. I don't know what to do. I do think it's interesting. I haven't figured out how this works, or not how it works, but why it works this way. It is interesting to me that, and no disrespect here, it is interesting to me that it seems to be on TikTok now that if anybody wants to debate, it's just Dean or Parker. And then outside of that, every time I scroll through TikTok, maybe I'm following the wrong people. Or what's her name? She's the Canadian girl that does she's like strawberry blonde. Comrade B. I see it in there. It's like either yelling at women or yelling at at Dean and Parker. I don't know what that is about TikTok. It's a different world there than it was a couple years ago, where it seemed like you could scroll through and there was like a lot of people getting debates. I don't know. I don't see Adam Cray. I've never really. I think we're on at the same time. I know Tommy. I every once in a while I'll scroll through. He doesn't have a ton of guests. It's a weird thing over there on TikTok. Is her name Belle? Comrade B. Her name's Belle. She's so smart. She's funny too. I didn't know that she hadn't been around for a while, but I've seen her live often lately. I think she's very funny, and I think she's really good. Stop leaving me. Listen. If you're on TikTok right now, can we just talk? I am always here. Every time I go live on TikTok, somebody's like, "Man, I wish you still did lives." I just want you all to know that I do lives every single day, and if you don't see me live, it's because TikTok has banned me. They do it every day. They'll do it today. They'll throttle the traffic today. It is what they do. So please know that if you're on TikTok, there are other places where people are watching this currently, and the chats are very lively, and you can go to those places, and those places also pay per view. However, if you are here on TikTok, be grateful to our friend C-Note, who is our go-between with TikTok. And when we do get banned, he's been able to get us unbanned a bunch of times. Adam lets me up, unlike you. Buzzard. That's right. Then go to Adam's. But make sure that you're gifting. The way that it works, every time you send a gift, a third of that goes to TikTok, a third of it goes to the creator, and a third of that goes to the people who are helping, who are like customer service. And so if we want to be able to stay on TikTok, and I hate this part of it, but gifts help. And it helps pay the bills for the people, for the customer service who keeps our stream live. And it makes TikTok less likely to ban us. So there you go. Make sure. Why do I keep getting banned? Dude, it's always weird things. Almost always, all my videos get banned for unoriginal content, which is kind of wild. Because like if you go through my TikTok videos, they're all just me. So all of those videos, when those get flagged, it's unoriginal content. It's usually like harassment or bullying, and I get that. Like TikTok's terms of service are a little more strict than other places. So sometimes I get heated and say things that you're not allowed to say on TikTok, and so sometimes I think the bans are fair. I think you need a cute little red co-host. Who are you? I came across you yesterday. Who are you? I was do you mean not funny content? Thank you. That was weird. That was a weird live in there, Oslo. You kind of came up and took an awkward moment and made it not so awkward, but I don't know. I feel a little bad. Somebody was in a TikTok live yesterday saying they were running for Congress and they wanted advice, and I gave them advice that it seemed like they just wanted to be famous, and they did not like that. And so I don't think I'm very well liked in with that person anymore, or the people of that district. Everybody's look, I don't know Oslo, but people are loving Oslo. Whoever you are, Oslo, keep doing it, because people seem to like you a great deal, and I believe them. FOD said a deep multi-factor recession is on its way. I agree with that. Oh, let me join the VC. Jen, do we have a winner from yesterday's? Let me jump in. Yesterday was International Joke Day, so we had a competition. Everybody who sent a joke yesterday was entered to win. The moderators have chosen their favorite joke from yesterday. Jen, do we have a? My audio settings might be screwed up too. Jen, do we have a winner?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Guys, I can't. Hold on real quick. I can't. If you're on TikTok, I can't let anybody up. There's no way for me to let you up on TikTok. We're running this through Streamlabs. So I'm sorry. I don't even know if guest requests are on, but I can't let anybody up from TikTok. There's no way for me to do it.
Yeah, they're not on there. So I'm looking at it. It looks like I want, I want to get a little more time to vote, because we'll do it like the next break.
Okay, we still have the mods are still voting.
Yeah, not enough people have replied yet. I want to give a couple more chance to reply. So.
Okay, I'm going to share my last joke, my last Norm Macdonald joke that we did.
And they said, "Oh."
So I want to get to this just so that we have it. This is about George Washington.
He chopped down a cherry tree, when he's a little child. And then when his parents came home, they said, "Who chopped down the cherry tree?" And little George said, "It was I who chopped down the cherry tree. I cannot tell a lie." And you go, wow, what a great story. But then you think about it a little bit, right? Imagine if you drove home to your house, right? And you get there and you go, "Hey, what the fuck happened to the cherry tree? So, somebody chop it down or something?" And then you go inside and there's your child with an axe. So you go, "What happened to the cherry tree?" And then he goes, "I chopped down the cherry tree. I cannot tell a lie." And you go, "Okay, the first part of what you said bothers me a lot. The second part scares the fuck out of me. You can't tell a lie? Incapable of lying?" And they said,
there we go. That was my third and final. Thanks for the Clue Man raid. TikTok, take care of everybody asking where we've been all week. If I'm not on TikTok, I'm live somewhere else, and TikTok has banned me. So just know, you can leave TikTok. You can leave the screaming. You can leave the debate, and you can come over here and you can watch a planned out, informative show brought to you by a man with ADHD who never stays on one topic longer than like 3 minutes. So if that's your speed, you've come to the right place. If you want to get a lot of information, and sometimes in a very unpredictable and seemingly uncoordinated effort, you're in the right place. For those folks with a short attention span, don't worry. You can jump in anytime, and you'll be able to figure out where we're at. The other places we stream, so one of them rhymes with poo-poob, and the other one rhymes with bitch, which I'm not supposed to say. Sorry, Jen, I'm not supposed to say that word. But there are other Facebook, Twitter, all these places. We prefer poop and bitch because they pay us per view. So there you go. That's the answer for everybody here on TikTok. So far, we have not got a ban on TikTok. So fingers crossed. All right, let's jump right into it. If you're watching Fox News this morning, or if you go to Fox News, actually, let me show you this first real quick. This morning, as I was going through the show outline, I thought, I wonder if there's stuff I'm missing. Sometimes I wonder when I feel like my feed is kind of like everybody's saying the same thing. I'll go over to Breitbart, or I'll go to what's that, Drudge Report or Fox News. I'm like, what am I missing in the world of politics? This big beautiful bill is so bad that they're still just Dems at a crossroads as establishment plans Project 2029. Now they're just doing, because Trump to begin enforcing birthright citizen. What's next for Iran's terror army? They are talking about anything but this bill. State Department unveils Patriotic America First rebrand. Trump takes aim at CNN and New York Times over Iran strike cover. Like, they're not even covering the bill. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, they want you to believe, these Republicans in Congress want you to believe that this is an unbelievable bill, that it's going to be so great for people. Fox won't even cover it. This is the Fox News politics. Like the first time you see Murkowski get one little blip way down here, they refuse to cover. It's so bad that Fox News, of course, they're not going to cover it in an honest way. They're just going to choose not to cover it. But here was them this morning on Maria Bartiromo's show. And is this the right one? Make sure this is the right one. They were waiting for job numbers to come in, and they come in live. And I hope this is the right clip. If it's not, I'll show you that one next.
Of course, President Trump is talking about this bill leading to growth in the economy. We are waiting any moment now to get the jobs numbers for the month of May. The expectations call for the ADP numbers to be up 95,000 for the month.
Ooh, they were ready. Let's see these big numbers. These big numbers coming. Notice the Dow futures, they're up 0.3%. Just notice that real quick. Big numbers are coming in, 90-something thousand new jobs. All right, let's see how it went.
Of June, rather. It's the June jobs data, and we'll, of course, right now seeing the number actually show a decline in jobs, down 33,000 on ADP.
Whoops.
The bill includes $25 billion for the Golden Dome, the missile defense system.
She just moves on. She just moves on. What happened? What? She just like, nah, never mind. We're moving on.
Senator, you introduced a bill supporting the construction of that system. I want to get your take on defense and whether...
we're out. We are not going to talk about that. But here's John Lonsky later on in the same show, and they're going to be a little more honest here and talk about what they saw. Now you'll see futures are down. This is the same show. This is the same exact show. This is Maria Bartiromo. It's the same show. And here we go.
Trump would like to sign this right before the July 4th holiday to celebrate freedom and independence. John, we are 30 minutes away from the opening bell for a Wednesday in a holiday-shortened week. Your thoughts?
Well, our big surprise today had to be that ADP report on private sector employment. That was down by 33,000 jobs. The labor market is softening. It's flattening out. And that tells me that companies can go ahead and increase prices in response to higher tariffs, but I don't think that consumers are going to respond positively. They'll pull back on spending, so any increase by inflation because of tariffs will be quite limited. Ultimately, tariffs may do more to increase federal revenues.
That's not the red that they're usually looking for. They're gonna just blame this on Biden, right? What's gonna be the response? Well, this is still Joe Biden's economy. It's directly tied to the tariffs, and everybody knows it. Everybody knows it's tied to the dumbest fucking foreign policy in the history of our country, the dumbest fucking trade policy in the history of our country. The main problem that we have is that Republicans just will do what Trump says, and Trump will never admit that he's wrong. So he will continue doubling down on bad policy, and Republicans will just keep coming to the microphone going, no, this is going to work. Eventually, it's going to work.
Reduce the federal deficit, than to add to price inflation. And of course, all this adds up to lower than expected interest rates by the end of this year.
Yeah, great point. Markets have turned
Yeah,
negative.
great point. Maybe interest rates will come down. There we go.
Now, 30 minutes before the open, on the heels of that weaker than expected June ADP report. That's why President Trump keeps talking about growth, Ashley. John, you just mentioned, people will have to raise prices. Not in Mamdani's New York, Ashley.
They don't know what to do. This is the dumbest fucking cult. It's so stupid. Yeah, people are going to have to raise prices, but not in Mamdani's New York. Is that an insult? Are you saying that Mamdani's policies will protect prices and that the citizens of New York City won't have their prices rise because of Mamdani's policies? Fucking good argument, Fox. You could make an argument that Fox is on Mamdani's side here. Yeah, well, not in places where the government controls prices a little bit more. Those prices won't go up. Fuck you, Florida.
No. Not if the government is running the grocery stores.
That's correct. Yeah, the groceries would be cheaper if the government ran the grocery stores. That is correct. That's how it works. All of this bad news, of course, is just what do they call it in crypto? They call it shit, I can't remember even what they call it now. What's the word in crypto where they say like it's like fear? I can't remember what's the term in crypto when they try and convince you not to sell while they're running a pump and dump. It's not. Is it? I don't think it's FOMO. I know it's not FUD. Thank you. There you go, Civic Sniper. It's called FUD. So Trump goes out and he's doing his anti-FUD. Nobody wants to talk about growth. Well, because we're not growing. We had negative GDP last quarter, and we're losing jobs now. That's the which will be the primary reason the big beautiful bill. I don't will be one of. By the way, that's not the name of it anymore. We can stop calling it that. They get the Chuck Schumer in all his glory. He's so great, guys. Chuck Schumer is unable to ever do anything to stand in the way of Donald Trump, but at least he got the name of the bill changed. So thanks, Chuck Schumer. Literally the least you could do. This growth has already begun at levels never seen before. Yeah, negative growth. That growth is already is negative. Trillions of dollars are now being invested into the USA more than ever before. Again, I don't know. They keep saying that. It doesn't seem to be helping anything if that money is coming in. Likewise, hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs are filling up the coffers of the Treasury, which is empty and is in debt. We are growing our way out of the sleepy Joe Biden mess that he and the Democrats left us, and it is happening much faster than anyone thought possible. None of this is happening. None of this. This is just your president come out like, don't believe your lying fucking eyes. Believe me. This is actually growth. Things are actually really good right now. Don't look at the numbers. It's good. Everything's good. Our country will make a fortune this year, more than any of our competitors, but only if the big beautiful bill is passed. As they say, as we all say, Trump's been right about everything. Well, what the fuck? This is so weird. This is the president of the United States. He speaks on a fourth grade level, and you guys are like, that's right. Trump is right about everything. He's just conditioning you over and over and over again to never disagree with him. Where was that? And this is the easiest of them all to predict. Republicans, don't let the radical left Democrats push you around. We've got all the cards, and we're going to use them. Last year, America was a dead nation with all that positive GDP growth last year. No hope for the future. And now it's the hottest nation in the world. Make America great again. Winning. Oh, we got Frank back. Winning. Haters, look at the border. Stock market. What's a stock market? Like a parakeet in the stock market? Frank's back to shout slogans at us again. So, Frank, I think, Frank, if you're not a bot, Frank, you got the personality of one, and that's not good for you. Welcome back, though, Frank. Thanks for joining us. All right, let's go to this is over on let's see, over on CNBC. Not Aaron Sorkin, whatever this Sorkin's name is, I forget his name. Has on Tom Emmer. They want to talk. It's a fair question. All CNBC wants to know is, just like Donald Trump said, if there's so much growth, why don't we have any growth? And Tom Emmer responds by spitting on Donald Trump's, I can't say, we're on TikTok today, filleting Donald Trump, we'll say it that way.
Why are we currently not getting 2.8% growth today with the assumption if the CBO is at 1.8 and the administration's at 2.8, and part of what we're talking about here is extending the tax cuts that are already in place. And yes, you're going to capture no tax on tips, and maybe that'll drive some of this. But what is going to get you to the 2.8 number?
What's the answer? We're talking about GDP growth. He's saying, look, how are we going to get to this number, GDP growth? He's also talking to the $2.8 trillion that we have to make up for here. We got to make up GDP. We got to make up $2.8 trillion in a deficit. How are we going to do it? What's your plan, Tom Emmer? Anybody have a guess? Tariffs, decent guess. Tariffs, decent guess. Biden did it, decent guess. Any other guesses here? Immigration, decent guess. It's way dumber than all of that. Listen to this. Here's the answer. How are you going to get us there?
It's Donald Trump. Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. That's the answer. My whole answer is Donald Trump. Donald Trump, baby.
In this legislation. Keep in mind, we've had 4 years of disaster under Joe Biden. Donald Trump has only had a little less than 6 months to try and fix this thing. And already, you've seen enormous changes. In the CBO, by the way, 1.8% growth is what they projected over the next 10 years. This country has never had less than 2% growth in any 10-year period. So be careful of the numbers that these insiders put out, because
careful of those motherfuckers with doing the math. Do you see Donald Trump in that equation anywhere? X plus Y plus Donald Trump equals Z. Oh, this is batshit crazy. Fuck all of you Republicans today. All of you. All of you. This is your best answer, honestly. You know this bill sucks. Every one of you knows it sucks, which is why every time we try and talk about it, you're like, could we please talk about Russia? Could we talk about immigration, please? What about trans people? Can we talk about anything but this goddamn bill? No, we can't talk about this bill?
Line is, we've seen it all throughout history. When you give Americans more of their hard-earned money, when you give them more freedom to make new things happen, they not only improve their own lives, but the rising tide lifts all boats. Yeah. And that's what this country's all about.
Just hits us with catchphrases. How are you going to fix this? With catchphrases and Donald Trump, sir? That's how we fix this mess that we're in. We just keep doing whatever Trump says. The cool thing about like following Donald Trump is that you just get to, you see what happens, and then he's like, you didn't see that. And you're like, oh, yeah, that's right. I didn't see that. The jobs are actually good. Admir wants to remind everybody that HVAC can't debate for shit. Amy Lynn said Fox is now officially a rhino, and I need to officially remind you that we are crowd-funded, and there are ways to fund us. I have to do this in now that we're back on TikTok. I have to be clever about how I do this. There are ways to fund us, and those ways are up there. And we'll read any message that you send us. We do rely on your generosity, and that's how we keep the lights on here. We also offer paid subscriptions, which go a long way. Those paid subscriptions are available on TikTok, YouTube, and Twitch. So you can get paid subscriptions there. As a reminder, on Saturday, I have a debate over on the YouTube channel Raging Tomato. You can watch it there without any subscription, or if you are a paid subscriber, we'll be streaming live on TikTok, YouTube, and Twitch. And if you're a paid subscriber, that will be sub only. You can watch there. And that way I'll be able to engage with our chat. So it'll be a little bit different look of a stream, but we'll have 2 options for that. I think it's at, I'll get you Jen will get you the time at some point.
Will I do that?
Yeah, I sent it to you, right?
Yeah, I think so. I have to find it, but yeah. And so I have decided that this has to be hell. The filleting that you showed to everybody.
Yeah.
That was I'm really glad that this is going to go into your RTP out of context because it already made into the server, so that's great.
Someone already clipped it.
Oh yeah, it doesn't take long.
That's not good.
But we have a winner on the joke.
Okay.
It was the one that you chose.
All right. Do we want to read the joke again? Do you want to read it? Do you want me to read it?
Either one of us can read it. What would you prefer?
Let's have Jen read it.
Yeah, me read it. Okay. What's the worst thing you can hear from Willie Nelson after giving him a BJ?
What?
I'm not Willie Nelson.
That's the best one. Amy Lynn said, you know what's worse than 2 girls running with scissors? 2 girls scissoring with the runs. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's gross.
I didn't see that one.
And so Monique Singh, Monique, you're the one who did that joke. I don't know if you're in the Discord or if you're watching the chat right now. If you are, send me a DM and we can get you set up for the merch. So there's that. So that was kind of fun. The whole joke day.
Do you want to talk about how you got more gifts than Jeffrey last night? Want to talk about that?
I mean, we just know this time and time again. It's proven that I'm better than HVAC. It started with like I'm a better mod than HVAC and everything else. So
was he a mod at some point?
Or he claimed that he was the best moderator at some point. And they did a poll one day in a live, and he lost there too. So it's standard practice.
That's all right, but he attracts more skunks, so
that's true. And I mean, I guess W for that.
WHVAC for attracting the skunks, yeah.
Yeah. So Monique, we'll try to get to you. Actually, no, I can probably reply to her on her Venmo if she's not in the server. She's not watching.
Okay.
Anyways, so it's 10 o'clock Pacific time. We do this show each day, Monday through Friday from 9:30 to 1. We're so glad you're here, everyone. It's TikTok, Twitch, and YouTube. We're all over. So we've got a gift goal in that top left-hand corner. The links you can see on the screen. The one with the V, the P, and the C. So we need to knock out that gift goal by the end of the shows because we are crowdfunded, and this is how we pay our bills and do our job. What?
Don't ever say it that way ever again. Just say it out. Yeah, say it out loud again.
No, I did it on purpose.
The V with the P and the C. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that was totally intentional. You act like that I am not intentional with the awkwardness.
All right, sorry.
I mean, and you did try to gross me out yesterday with a bunch of shit, so it's only fair.
I did not. What did I do?
Enough of things. You were weird on things. I don't remember exact examples, but I just remember
it's weird.
It was gross.
All right, sorry.
It's just gross.
My apologies.
So if you haven't subscribed to us already, please do so. You can do it on all the different platforms. On Twitch, you can use your Amazon Prime sub. On YouTube, you can do a free subscription. Also, we have 4 different memberships. And in TikTok, we've got memberships or subscriptions over there as well. If you guys disagree with RTP, however else, depending on where you're watching, how you can come on and debate if you'd like to is you DM me. And my Discord's the same. DM me on Discord. My Discord's the username that's on the Venmo. So Jen with 2 N's, Dub with 2 B's, the number 1. I mean, I can bring you on and talk in real time. The links in our link tree in the bio. We're on most social media platforms. We've got Jay's on Cameo, and we also have these episodes uploaded to Spotify. So there's all that.
I just got a $5 donation from Ainsley for deep throating the mic. Are we OF now? Did I just become an adult creator?
I guess you're looking to get your Cash App banned too.
Might as
I
well.
mean, it's possible. I mean, if anyone can do it and get you banned, you can. So, yeah. Did you hear troops invaded a city filled by Viagra?
I did not. I did not. That sounds hard.
Yeah, they were met with stiff resistance.
Amy Lynn, I did read your scissors joke. I wasn't prepared for it. Thank you for that. Thanks, Jen. Let's get back. Here's Donald Trump this morning after lying about the big, beautiful bill and telling you guys not to look at anything. He also said this: "It's my great honor to announce that I have just made a trade deal with the Socialist Republic of Vietnam." After speaking with Tu Lam, is that correct? The highly respected General Secretary of the Communist Party of Vietnam. This is weird. "It will be a great deal of cooperation between our two countries. The terms are that Vietnam will pay the United States a 20% tariff." No, they won't. This is how crazy this has got. Like, he can't admit that he was wrong about how tariffs work. He's just lying. He's announcing a trade deal with an obvious lie. You guys don't get to say he's not stupid anymore. You can't say it. This guy's a fucking idiot. Vietnam will pay the United States a 20% tariff. No, they won't. And on any and all goods sent into our territory, and a 40% tariff on any transshipping. What is that? Is transshipping? Is that a word? Transshipping? I've never heard that word being. It means transferring cargo from one ship to another form of transport. 40% tariff on any transshipping. I assume he's talking about one of the things that was brought up with the trade deal with Vietnam is that they get a lot. A lot of stuff goes through Vietnam to avoid Chinese tariffs. He may be talking about that. That like if these are things that originated in China, maybe it's a 40% tariff. But again, Vietnam is not going to pay those tariffs. I think that's what he's talking about. It's hard because he's a fucking idiot. But I think that's what he's saying. In return, Vietnam will do something that they have never done before: give the United States of America total access to their markets for trade. In other words, they will open their market to the United States, meaning that we will be able to sell our product into Vietnam at zero tariff. It is my opinion that the SUV, or as it is sometimes referred to, large engine vehicle, which does so well the United States, will be a wonderful addition to the various product lines with Vietnam. Dealing with General Secretary Tu Lam, which I did personally, was an absolute pleasure. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I don't know why the fuck he signs off with that. None of this happened. None of this is real. This is all fake. None of this is even actually possible. None of these things in here are true. This is just all lies. They're not going to pay a tariff. I don't know what vehicles does he think that Vietnam is going to want to buy a lot of SUVs? Just it's crazy. Does Vietnam want to buy SUVs? Like, don't they have access to like South Korea? South Korea has Hyundai. Don't they have access to Japan? They have Honda there. All right. There's a strong growing desire to buy SUVs in Vietnam. The SUV market in Vietnam is booming, with growing demand for various models, particularly fuel efficient and compact options. Okay. Yeah. All right. The SUV market in Vietnam experienced substantial growth, with sales increasing by 60% and exceeding 200,000 units for the first time in 2024. SUVs now lead the Vietnamese vehicle market by vehicle type with a 46% market share. All right. So it sounds like we were late to the party in Vietnam, and now we're getting in on it. That's what it sounds like to me. Great. I hope that those SUVs do really well. And I'm glad that there's no tariff, allegedly no tariff. We haven't seen this trade deal announced yet. But the other stuff about Vietnam paying the United States tariffs, that's not true. It's just absolutely untrue. But that's what happens when you hire a dipshit to run the country. Here's some crazy polling that, from Harry Enton over at CNN. This is a wild shift, and I think this is one of those places where Mamdani has highlighted once again that he has a pulse on what Americans think. Here is the shift in who Democrats sympathize more with between the Israelis and Palestinians.
Andrew Cuomo during the primary.
There's nowhere to read about that bill yet that I've seen. I haven't seen a release on that bill unless it's come out in the last hour. Or not bill, trade deal with Vietnam. As far as I know, it's just been announced on Truth Social. I have not seen any details.
Attack Mamdani as being insufficiently pro-Israel. I'm not quite sure the former governor understood how much the politics have changed around this issue among Democrats. What are we talking about here? All right, who Democrats sympathize more with?
Jared, no, I'm shouting when he writes in either all caps or when he capitalizes something for no fucking reason. That's why.
Israelis or Palestinians. In 2017, the Democratic Party was a pro-Israeli party. Look at this. They sympathized with the Israelis by 13 points, more with the Israelis than the Palestinians. But look at this sea change. Now Democrats sympathize more with the Palestinians by 43 points. Oh my God, that is a change in the margin of 56 points over the course of just 8 years. So all of a sudden, it's the pro-Palestinian position that actually reigns supreme in Democratic politics, not the Israeli position. And that is part of the reason why Mamdani was able to do so well in this primary, because those attacks over Israel, simply put, did not ring true for Democrats. They're now on the side of the Palestinians, not the Israelis.
I mean, this is a much bigger issue, specifically with Mamdani, though. I mean, an outspoken critic of Israel. He's facing continued criticism, though, for not being outspoken enough against anti-Semitism, that is for sure. But on this, what is it?
I think that that's such a bullshit lie. He has been very clear that anti-Semitism is wrong. Being critical of Israel is not anti-Semitism. Most Jewish people in this country vote for Democrats. They don't conflate the actions of Israel with anti-Semitism. He's just drawing a distinct line. The Chris Cuomo's Andrew Cuomo's of the world, the Republicans of the world, they're just lying to you. They just want you to not be able to criticize Israel. And so they're like, if you criticize Israel, you're anti-Semitic. If you say free Palestine, you're anti-Semitic. No, you can be very anti-Israel and not be anti-Semitic. In fact, I know that there's people that are like Nick Fuentes, for example. He hates Israel, and he hates them for a lot of the same reasons that I do, and he's also anti-Semitic. It can be both. It can be, but that doesn't mean that like the criticisms that these people who are anti-Semitic, it doesn't mean that that what they're saying about Israel isn't true. But if you want to criticize Israel, you can criticize Israel. But unless you're saying like I hate Israel because they're Jews, it's not really anti-Semitic. It's just criticism.
Talk about Democrats and how broadly how this really is shifting.
Yeah. So, you see this.
If you say get a job, you're racist. It's so fucking stupid.
This among Democrats overall, right? But we know that Mamdani's base was younger voters within the Democratic Party. And so I want to break it down
with younger Democrats.
Correct. So take a look here. Who age 18 to 49 Democrats sympathize more with, the Israelis or the Palestinians? Again, in 2017, younger Democrats sympathize more with the Israelis by 14 points. Look at this shift now. Palestinians, they sympathize more with the Palestinians by 57 points. That is an over 70-point shift in the margin in just a matter of 8 years. So the bottom line is, Mamdani's base within the Democratic Party and the base of the Democratic Party of younger voters, younger Democrats, have changed tremendously on this issue in 8 years' time. I rarely ever see shifts like this, Kate, in which you see one side of the equation leading by 14 points 8 years ago, and then all of a sudden the other side of the equation leading by 57 points. The bottom line is the politics around the Israelis and the Palestinians have shifted tremendously among Democrats, and they've shifted specifically tremendously among Democrats who are under the age of 50, younger Democrats who are Mamdani's base. And
yeah, people who can use the internet.
Also the base of Democratic socialists like himself, like Bernie Sanders, like AOC. They have just shifted more so than I think that anyone could possibly have imagined, say, 8 years ago.
Only a child curses like this. If your child curses like me,
Andrew Cuomo,
you got real problems. If there are children who are speaking like me, Yeah, but my child doesn't speak like that. If your child's speaking like me, unless they're speaking about politics, if they're speaking like me about politics, you should listen to them. But if they're cursing like me, you may want to remind them that if they go out in public, some people might be offended if they say that. Look, this is why the opinions of the Palestinians have changed. This is a journal. I forgot to get, did I get his name? I can't remember his name. He's a journalist in Palestine. I forgot to write it down. Here's a story he's sharing. This is why people see this, and there's no defense for the IDF here.
As we stood on the coastal line there for hours and hours and hours, I was watching fishermen. I was watching men they were probably lawyers and engineers in a past life, with a single fishing net each, just trying to catch a few fish for their families. Suddenly, tanks came from the very large Israeli checkpoint. A tank came. Next thing, all the fishermen fled. As 2 fishermen fled, they were shot. They were shot on the beach. I was with other UN agencies, doctors and paramedics. They immediately...
There we go. James Elder, who's the UNICEF spokesman. They're watching this. People are just... Remember, they're waiting around for food aid, so why not go try and catch some fish? They go and try and catch some fish. Here comes Israeli soldiers. 2 dead, and he's watching this as just a spokesperson, a member of the press.
Rang authorities to get us permission to access these people in case there was a sign of life, to immediately get them medical care. That was denied. That help was denied. Finally, half an hour later, as those men lay there, those men who were no doubt someone's brother, father, son, as they lay there, the other fishermen, their family, their friends, took body bags that we had and went down the beach and brought them up. I saw them. One man had been shot in the back. Another man, who still had a fishing net round his foot, was shot in the neck. I know that because I saw that, only because we bore witness to that. These are not unique events on the Gaza Strip.
Randon, I don't care how I come off. I invite you guys to come up here every day and have a debate, and none of you do it. If you want me to not be closed-minded, people can come up here. If they talk like me about politics, they should listen. Bro, that was a joke. Jesus Christ. Obviously I don't have all the answers, brother. Obviously I don't have all the answers. It's just a joke. But I beg people to come up and share a different opinion every day, bud. Every day I beg people to come up and share a different opinion. Do I think I'm right? Yeah. If I didn't think I was right, I wouldn't say it. Do you expect people to go up there and have a show and just be like, I don't know how I feel about any of these things. I don't know if I'm right about any of these things. I welcome you to come up and correct the record. And if you do correct the record, I'm happy to say that I'm wrong. And my audience, well, then sorry about my personality, man. My bad. I'm sorry that my personality bothers you. I'm very sorry. I hope that things get better. I'll work on my personality. All right. Here's I remember if this is the same. I didn't get the name of this journalist either. I couldn't find who runs the Jeremy Vine show. This is a British broadcast called the Jeremy Vine Show. We have an Israeli sympathizer here and a non-Israeli sympathizer here, and this is what all of the arguments feel like right now on virtually every issue in this country. This is MAGA. This is not MAGA. And what you'll see here is that you'll just have somebody defending something that they don't really understand why they're defending. And you'll have somebody over here begging them to just please be a human. Please act like a human being. Please open your ears. Please understand what you're supporting right now. And then over here, just well, here's a talking point. Could I offer you a talking point instead? Amy Lynn said, so Trump curses on TV. Does that mean he's a child? Yeah, it does. Listen, everybody who curses on TV or on their live stream is a little bitch and they're a little child and they're all very immature. How dare they curse on TV?
Start by saying, I do not endorse what Bob Vylan said. I think the chant has just helped nobody. It was.
Sorry, if you're not familiar with Bob Vylan, that's a British rapper who chanted death to the IDF and free Palestine, free, and now everybody's trying to silence him, which is fucking crazy. Are we really at the stage the State Department in the United States is trying to cancel his tour in the United States for chanting about the IDF? We're silencing speech of people criticizing the IDF. By the way, the IDF can't die. Can we just be serious about what that means? It can't. What would death to the IDF mean? That would mean the IDF would go away, right? That the organization itself would go away. But even then, if he really meant it in that, like he wants everybody in the IDF to be dead, he still can say that, right? He still can do it. Why are we so like this administration is desperate to silence all speech, and we'll get to that later. But there has never been a more like restrictive movement in the United States. I want to hear from all the people today that bitched and moaned about Facebook posts being taken down. I want to hear from all of you today when we talk about how much speech is being silenced all over the world with the threat of government, the threat of the government arresting you or deporting you or revoking your citizenship or cutting funding to your school. There's never been a more anti-free speech administration in this country than we have right now.
It's a really stupid thing to do. I understand why there's a lot of anger, but let's just talk about Lisa Nandy here and Keir Starmer and just this incredible selective outrage, which I find impossible to stomach, right? She finds it in her heart to rush to Parliament, to stand up, to question and demand answers from a BBC allowing this streaming of this band, making this chant. She doesn't rush to Parliament to demand answers and concrete action on the actions that we are seeing live streamed to us daily of the IDF, who are committing alleged war crimes at the direction of their Prime Minister Netanyahu, who has an arrest warrant out for, again, war crimes.
Is that, Annunziata, hang on, let's just get I hear you, and I understand what you're saying completely. Annunziata, what's your response to that? How can someone be outraged about villain and not outraged about people being shot up in food queue?
And I will say that's a good fucking question. Why are you guys always so outraged about speech? But not a peep from any of you about, like, I just showed you a video of two people just fishing to feed their families who were murdered by Israeli soldiers. And you guys all got real quiet during that time. But then when I bring up, like, trying to silence speech, you're like, yeah, well, yeah, maybe you shouldn't say mean things. You're very upset about the threat, a perceived threat. But not upset at all. Not a peep from any of you right now who are like on her side. Not one of you said anything when we showed you a clip talking about the Israeli soldiers murdering people for fishing. Not a peep. You all went silent. But now you're like, well, this guy said some things, so that's pretty bad. That's what we're outraged about today.
It is a very different thing to call for the deaths of our allies' armed forces. That is going against our country's interests, and it is calling for people to be killed.
But the idea...
It is not okay to talk about the bad decisions or the bad actions of people when they're our allies. When they're our allies, we are supposed to support the genocide. This is why polling has completely flipped on Israel. Even Republican polling, you can go look at Republican polling. They flipped on Israel. Go look at the biggest Republican content creators. Look at Tucker Carlson. The messaging has completely unraveled, and it's because you guys don't actually have an answer for any of this. You're just lemmings. Just This will cost you big time. This will cost, and nobody's going to trust you again. And all of you right now who are condemning Bob Villain and not condemning the IDF, like, cool, who's going to trust you in the future? Those words are way worse than murder. Way worse.
Are snipering children in the head.
Whether you like it or not,
no,
Marina,
just listen to me.
Israel are one of our allies.
So if they're because they're our ally...
Hang on, Marina, just one sec. Let Annunziata say her thing.
There are still hostages being held from a festival not dissimilar to Glastonbury, standing for peace, where the people attending were attacked, killed, raped, and taken hostage.
All right, Marina, let Marina talk.
But I'm sorry, children are paying the price. And are we saying that because they're our allies, we have to stand by as they sniper kids in their head?
And Hamas are...
Yes, Yeah. Watch this. She goes, whataboutism? Are we saying that we have to ignore children being sniped? Well, Hamas.
Using the humans in Gaza as human shields. They are using the people and the children.
Okay, let me just show you hang on. Let me show you the latest on this. Hang on a second. I know how strongly you both feel about this. I'll just show you just some information here, which is an Israeli newspaper actually called Haaretz. Yeah. This is an important article from the weekend where they say that IDF soldiers were ordered to shoot at Gazans who were waiting for food. So that was a development. And Annunziata, the question is this. How can we be angry at villain and not even more angry about that?
How can we not support our allies? That is what the country has set as our mission, that they are our allies, that we are on their side, that this is a war where there is one side on the right, one side on the wrong. Hamas have done the wrong thing consistently.
See, this is just nonsense. This is how stupid all of you guys in here supporting Israel sound right now. By the way, normally I kind of get frustrated by the people in here that are like so pro-Israeli that are quoting, if you support Israel, I will bless thee, or whatever the scripture is. You all look like this is what you look like right now. Keep saying what you're saying. It's not working. Keep trotting out the same flimsy line that you did a year ago. Remember that guy that was on, I don't even know if he's on TikTok anymore, Moderate Democrat? Remember that? Remember how when like this first kicked off, there were a lot of people siding with Moderate Democrat, and then today, you're just like, where is he? Where did he go? He got exhausted. I haven't talked to him, but he got exhausted, I'm sure. You can't defend this. Everything you guys are saying is stupid. I want you here. I want you to repeat the talking points from the IDF. And for those of you that see it and get upset, just understand you're winning. This isn't the same fight from 3 months ago. Like, you're winning. These people will be held responsible. The world has decided that these folks are evil. And Donald Trump doesn't last forever. And polling on Donald Trump is changing too, especially with positions like now, where he's saying that like you're trying to get people to not charge Netanyahu with war crimes. This is how bad you look. Every one of you that supports Israel, I've invited you up here. You all look the same. You all wind up not addressing any of the murder or justifying the murder of innocent men, women, and children. You are not capable. You can't defend Israel without defending the murder of innocent men, women, and children. These two men were fishing. Please explain to me how Israel's the good guy right now. And stop pretending it's like a two-sided fight. This is not Palestine versus Israel. It's Hamas versus Israel. And Israel's just killing Palestinians. Just for the hell of it, I guess. Oh, those are our fish.
Wow. However, everyone wants there to be a solution. We're not going to...
Yeah, the solution is stop murdering innocent people. Agree to a ceasefire. Agree to stop forcing Palestinians to live in an open-air prison. This isn't that hard. You get your hostages back. Some of them are dead. Palestinians will get their hostages back. Some of them are dead. That's how this works. I'm so tired of having to see this every day, and mostly tired of Republicans defending it. Here, actually, this one had copyrighted music. I'm going to skip that one. Moving on, back to American politics. Stephen Miller. I don't know. There's part of me that thinks Stephen Miller might have a personal vendetta against Elon Musk. I don't know what possibly could cause Stephen Miller to have a personal vendetta against Elon Musk. Maybe you guys can float some ideas in the chat. I don't know, but he seems to not like him. Amy said IDF members have come out saying they were ordered to kill unarmed citizens. So gross. Yeah, they're just admitting it. They can't do it anymore. And Francis, I looked for this. Sorry, I forgot to read it. You said, look at the tariffs in Twitch comment. I wasn't sure what that meant when you said it, and I forgot to read it out loud. If you want to resend it or send it to Jen, I can look at it. Trump is the best president of our lifetime. Yeah, there you go. Here's Stephen Miller with his obviously unjustified outrage at Elon Musk.
To oppose this bill is to support the invasion. To oppose this bill is to support the continued giveaways and freebies to cheaters and scam artists. To oppose this...
That's the craziest part about this part. If you don't support this bill, you support giveaways to cheaters and scam artists. What are you talking about? Those are the banks. Those are all the people getting handouts right now. This bill is so pro-cheater, so pro-scam artist. There's never been a more pro-cheater, scam artist presidency. They've completely deregulated crypto. They've dropped every investigation into any crypto scam. They've dropped investigations into Chase Bank, into Bank of America, into Wells Fargo, who were scamming customers. They got rid of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which protects you against scams. This is the most pro-scam bill imaginable. When he said that, I was like, what are we, like, we literally live in two different realities. What he's talking about is somebody who, like, might get SNAP or might get Medicaid that maybe doesn't deserve it. That's the thing that we should worry about, but not the handouts to the actual scammers, not the handouts to the actual manipulators, not to the actual criminals. No, there's tons of that in this bill.
This bill is to support a 68% tax hike on the American public, and is also to oppose this bill is to support a deprivation of all of the tax benefits that President Trump is fighting to deliver to the middle class, like no tax.
Drives me nuts. Okay, the opposition to this bill is because of the handouts to the billionaires. If you care about the middle class, if you're saying, and this is politics, this isn't unusual, but let's cut through the shit. If Republicans really cared about the middle class, and that's all they cared about, they could have dropped the tax cut for the wealthy. They could have increased the tax cut for the middle class. The Democrats all would have voted for it, and Donald Trump would have looked like a hero. It would have been very popular. And it would be really hard for somebody like me to show up on a show and criticize Donald Trump. It'd be really hard for me to criticize Republicans right now. But they didn't do that. They extended the same tax cuts that were already there, added a few slight provisions, but then they cut taxes severely for corporations. And they added loopholes for the richest among us. Our opposition to this is that it is going to increase deficit spending, mostly because of the tax breaks that you're giving to the rich. This is the political games that we're talking about. They could give a fuck about the middle class, because they could have had everything they want in the middle class, and Democrats would vote for it, and they wouldn't have to put in that tax cut for rich people. But they didn't, because they don't need the votes. They had plenty of votes. They had one vote that was enough to pass this through the Senate. Ask yourself, Republicans, why does this bill have to include tax cuts for rich people? And I would invite anybody, again, there's Jen, you can see the username with the V next to it. That's Jen's Discord. You can come up here and debate this. Show me a time in American history where tax cuts for rich people benefited the country as a whole. Look at GDP growth, it's basically stagnant. You look at job growth, it doesn't match other eras where taxes were higher that had bigger job growth. There's no evidence that tax cuts for the wealthy benefit anybody but the wealthy. Not jobs. Let's look at this, Philip. Let's look at job creation by year. Let's see if I can find a chart for it. All right, let's take a look here. 2017. So we had growth in 2013 to 2014. We had growth from 2014 to 2015. A little bit of we went backwards from 2015 to 2016. We saw growth from 2016 to 2017. The Tax Cuts and Job Act was put into place in 2017. So the first year that we would have job creation would have been 2018. Very small growth, a little bit of growth, and then we went backwards again. And then growth, backwards. This growth, by the way, a lot of this growth, if you go and you look at the statistics, that job creation mostly is due to government spending, bailouts, loans, the Chips and Science Act, the Infrastructure Act. There's no evidence. Like even if I want to go back further, job creation by year. Let's see how far back it'll take me here. That was from 20. We can look at it during presidential terms, I guess. Let's see. Annual change for non-farm employment. Look, Big job growth for Roosevelt, Truman, Johnson. Excuse me, Kennedy, Johnson. Look at all these Republicans. Nixon, Ford. Then we had growth under Carter, Reagan, Bush, Clinton good, Bush bad, Obama good, Trump bad, Biden good. Where's this evidence? Look at this. Where's this evidence? Let's go backwards. Well, I'll find somebody that was from Wikipedia. That was from Federal Reserve economic data. Let's look at this one here. Look here. This is job creation, cumulative increase in jobs for each president. Here's Trump. Obviously, COVID here. Not that impressive. Who is impressive here? Carter's at the top. Biden's at the top. Clinton's at the top. There's Reagan. Your first Republican after a big dip. Where's the evidence that all these tax cuts work? Someone show me. Those of you who are in the chat, what should I be looking at? What economic data should I be looking at? You will not look at government jobs? What are you talking about? I won't look at government jobs. Government jobs created by year? Is that what you want me to look at? Give me some places, some other economic indicators I should look at. All right, so this is from 2013. So here's government employment all the way up through 2019. It looks like it rose pretty sharply during the Trump administration, didn't it? Government employment. Then obviously it tanks because of COVID. And then we seem to just go right back up. Look at this trajectory at the end of Trump's administration. From July of 2019 to February of 2020. We had a sharp increase in government jobs there. Come on, give me the economic indicators. Just prove it to me. I'll do whatever you want. I'll look at whatever you want. Give me the numbers I'm supposed to look at right now. The Democrats made my wife gay and she divorced me. That might have been you, dog. Corporations, oligarchs mislead the nations. Project 25 full force. None of this matters. It's too late if they're going to cancel midterms in Florida. They believe data is fake news. That's a good point. What am I supposed to look at here? You don't make $750,000 a year. Tax cuts typically increase inflation, increase poverty. Yeah. How about the auto pin? You meant auto pen. Wealth disparity by year. Yeah, let's look at wealth disparity. Wealth disparity by year. Wait, why did that not do wealth disparity by year? All right. Is this the one we always look at from Pew? This is from Pew Research here. Household incomes resume growing following the Great Recession. No, this isn't the one. This isn't the wealth disparity one. Here. Where's the chart I've used before? Is it from Federal Reserve? Yeah, here it is. Distribution of household wealth since 1989. Look at the top 0.1%. Top 1.1% up to 2025 holds $22 trillion. The top, that's the top 0.1. So if we just take the top 10% of wealth in America, they own, let's call that 60, 87, 90, $110 trillion, the top 10%, and the rest of America owns 52 trillion. So 10% of the country owns more than double of the total amount of wealth. What was it if we go back to even 1990? What's that? 16 trillion the top, or let's see, 16, 29, 39 trillion versus 18 trillion. Yeah, it's massively increased. Thanks, tax cuts. All this stuff is just handouts to rich people, and they're trying to sell you like they give a fuck about the middle class.
Tax on tips, no tax on social.
Look at the chart with government jobs out. But Philip, the problem is the jobs. I just showed you the government jobs. I just showed you that the government jobs grew steadily during the Trump administration. What's it going to show me that's different there? If you take out government jobs, that's gonna crater Trump's tax job creation as well. Every president's job creation would get much lower if I took out government jobs. But you saw, I showed you that chart. It sharply rose in 2019 under Trump. It would be the same for everybody. I've looked at both sets of data. It's not like there's going to be something magically all of a sudden that's going to change things. It was virtually the same. If you have a chart for that, though, you can send it to Jen on Discord. I can pull it up. But yeah, find me a chart that shows me. You're going to have to compare me like job creation, government jobs, and non-government jobs. And you're going to have to show me between presidents. And then we can look at that. If you have it, feel free to send it.
Security, no tax on overtime. The Senate passed this bill just today, demonstrating that they are fighting for President Trump. They are fighting for his agenda. They are not going to listen to an outside voice that does not represent the interests of the American people or the interests.
That's pretty honest. Our senators have shown that they will do whatever Donald Trump says, and they will not listen to any outside voice. Whoa. Whoa. You guys are proud of that? It's true. It's what they've been accused of. They're all telling. I mean, Stephen Miller's not lying right there. That's what they're doing. They're only listening to Donald Trump. They're not going to look at any data. All this data we show, none of you guys fucking care. None of your politicians care because you all just want Trump to be right. And any information that doesn't fit that narrative, you're just going to ignore it. Pink said to help with the OF startup cost. Thank you. Cam said, did Gary give you the hat because you're the one person keeping them open by renting tapes of the most recent Niners Super Bowl wins? That's enough out of you, Cam. Ban Cam forever. No, this if you guys don't know, my biological father, who does not acknowledge my existence, name is Gary. I actually forgot to text Gary on Father's Day. Usually on Christmas and Father's Day, I send him a message and say, I love you, Daddy. He knows I exist. And he has an iPhone with read receipts on, so I know that he reads it. And so I'll send him really uncomfortable messages, usually twice a year. But I forgot on Father's Day. I'll have to maybe do it on 4th of July. Wish him like a happy America Day or something. You got to start calling out racist because somebody disagrees with you too. What? Bro, you guys are... You're such a bitch. Honestly, sorry, Jen. I'm sorry. You're such a bitch.
I know that everything I'm saying you're combating with data right now. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a hypothetical scenario where if I disagree with you, you're calling. Nobody called you racist. Nobody did. You just created a hypothetical scenario in your head where the only reason people disagree with you is because we think you're racist. You might be. I don't know. So far, I haven't seen you say anything racist. But right now, you're just wrong because you're wrong. Right now, you're wrong because you listen to dipshits. Has nothing to do with whether or not you're racist. You guys are such perpetual victims. You complain all day long. You won. Okay, you won. You told us we won. We're just showing you the fruits of your win. If you like the fruits of your win, defend it. But you're having a hard time defending the fruits of your win right now, so you're just like, I liked it better when I was a victim, where I could just show up on lives and complain about stuff and blame Joe Biden. And now I can't blame Joe Biden, so now I'm going to create a hypothetical scenario where I'm still a victim here. Get out of your victimhood, pal. Toughen up. Kirsten said, "Ahoy, Jay. Here is some loot for your treasure goal. Keep up the good work fighting the Cestrial dragons. P.S. Did you start the One Piece journey yet?" I did not start the One Piece journey yet. Listen, I'm going to be honest. I shouldn't have done this, but I let somebody talk me into watching a reality TV show, and I am absolutely hooked on Love Island. And that's the only thing I'm watching right now. I don't have a lot of time, but when I do have time, I'm living for Huda right now. I'm just living for that type of crazy. I'm all about Love Island right now. So I'll start One Piece after that, but not until this is done. That show is unfucking believable. Listen, I know it's terrible too. I know it's bad TV. I know it's probably staged. I know that it is horrible. I know that it is a waste of my time. I know that I will never get those hours back, and I know that 10 years from now, I'll be like, damn, I really wasted too much time and energy on Love Island, but God damn it, I can't help it. I just can't. It's a vice. I'm just going to keep watching it. One Piece has 780 episodes. I don't know if I'm going to do that. I don't know if I'm going to make it through that. I don't have that much time. Hood is my drama fix right now, too. She's incredible. She is absolutely incredible. That episode where they did like it was like the milk episode. I didn't really even understand that much, but like she goes and grinds up on somebody, and then her dude like kisses somebody with his hands behind his back, and she screams at him. She's my type of crazy. I'm a huge Huda fan, and I'm terrified of her. All right, here is the Trump spokesperson, Caroline Leavitt, who is not doing well. She's going on to defend this bill now, and what she wants to remind Americans is, you shouldn't be educated. Don't listen. Don't go to school. Don't get educated. Don't listen to numbers. Just go be a plumber, please, and shut the fuck up.
And the president is more interested in giving that taxpayer money to trade schools, in programs, in state schools, where they are promoting American values. But most important...
Ooh, that's some fresh lip injection. How small was her upper lip before fillers? That's a fresh filler there.
Educating the next generation based on skills that we need in our economy and our society. Apprenticeships. It's apprenticeships. This lady's railing against education, calling it an apprenticeship. Her job is to speak for the president. She should know how to say words. Don't go to college. Look, by the way, it's a good idea to go to a trade school. And I love the idea of the government subsidizing trade schools. I'm a big fan of that. I think they should be more subsidized. I think that if you want to go to a trade school, it should be very inexpensive for you to go to a trade school, because we do need people in the trade industry. But creating this dichotomy of like trade good, real education bad, it's fucking stupid. We need educated people. We also need people educated on trade. We need people educated on finance. We need people educated on science. We need people educated on mental health. We need all sorts of education in this country. The thing that I think maybe frustrates me the most about our political landscape is the way that we always pit two things against each other. Let's have trade schools, and let's make them really inexpensive. And let's have real school. Not real school is a bad way to put that. Like, let's also have universities, and let's make those really inexpensive. Let's make America more educated. Let's not demonize people that are educated in one way or the other. Shout out to those going to trade school. Good for you. It's a smart decision. We desperately need more of you. I think it should be very inexpensive for you to go. And I think the same should be said about colleges. But Caroline Leavitt is such a fucking idiot that she can't even come up with like a real degree to compare this to. Electricians, plumbers, we need more of those in our country and less LGBTQ graduate majors from Harvard University.
That's not a thing. That's not a thing. That's not a thing. There's no LGBTQ graduate program at Harvard. That's not real. That's a non-thing. Spokesperson. She speaks for the president. She is supposed to go on Fox News and make compelling arguments to the American people. And her argument was, we need more plumbers, not LGBTQ majors from Harvard. That's not a major. That's not a thing. That's by very definition, that is a straw man. Can we please get some better representation for your dipshit Republican Party? MAGA, do you not have anybody better than this? Honest to God. Can we get somebody in there? Can we get a MAGA spokesperson apprenticeship, please? Can we? Is there a position for that? Maybe they could follow Caroline Leavitt around and just with a thesaurus or a dictionary. We need more spokesperson apprenticeships. Maybe if she would have went to Harvard, and she might be more effective at this. This is not a real thing. That was the best she could come up with. LGBTQ graduate programs. It's not real. I thought you'd be more into Orlandria and her backup dance. I gotta be honest. There's not a single one of those people on Love Island that I would be interested in being in a relationship with at all. But I think that's why I like Huda, is because she's just crazy, unapologetically crazy.
And that's what this administration's position is. And we also are not going to tolerate the illegal, criminal, anti-Semitic behavior that we saw take place at Harvard and many other colleges.
Where was that silly little bitch earlier that's like, if you don't agree with them, just call them racist? Isn't that what she just did? That's your playbook. And notice that's probably, now I get it. That's why you went to that, because that's your guys' playbook. You guys do this all the time. When we talk about immigration, inevitably one of you will come up here and be like, oh, you just like slave labor. And when we talk about Iran and how we shouldn't have bombed Iran, you guys go, oh, well, they mistreat LGBTQ people. You always do this. You always turn it into some sort of accusation. She literally just said, like, we want more plumbers, and if you don't agree with this administration, you're racist. That's what she just did. Where's that dipshit? Is he back? Where did he go? What was his name? Dipshit, come back real quick. I want to talk to you about this. Let's play it one more time. Sorry, Jen. I'm not supposed to call people dipshit. I'm trying my best. Shit, I can't rewind.
Campuses across the country. Behavior. So we're not going to tolerate the illegal, criminal, anti-Semitic behavior that we saw take place.
What's the hypocrisy, Brian? Come on up. Tell me about the hypocrisy. Where am I being hypocritical, Brian? Just out of curiosity. Who have I called racist for not supporting our ideologies? Which degree did I make up and demonize? Which one? I don't think you know what hypocrisy is. You're just frustrated. I'm racist for calling racist. That's a good point. That's a good point. It's just racist. I just looked it up. There are colleges that do teach this. He's lying. Okay, let's see. LGBTQ graduate degree at Harvard. Actually, I'll even leave out Harvard. Where did you look this up? A graduate degree in LGBTQ studies? Queer studies? Is that what you're talking about? So like a sociology degree? A history degree? A literature degree? Psychology? Law? There's not a degree in LGBTQ. You could study. You could specialize in sociology or history or literature or psychology. But you're getting the same degree as somebody else. You're just specializing, right? Find me an LGBTQ degree. Remember, we got to use her words. You don't get to bring back blue collar. We are bringing back blue collar. Thank you to the Infrastructure Act from Joe Biden. We're bringing back blue collar degrees. Human sexuality is a great, there's a need for human sexuality. We don't need to learn about human sexuality. We just have the Bible. Bible teaches us everything we need to know. It's called gender studies. Yeah, you guys are all yeah, it's called gender studies. It's called queer. She said LGBTQ degree. How can I be wrong? Is there such a thing as an LGBTQ degree from Harvard? Is there? Harvard WGS graduate secondary field. Yeah, thank you. Is that an LGBTQ degree? No, it's not. It's a certificate program. He doesn't understand bachelor degree. Yeah. Yeah, LGBTQ. Wait, LGBTQ studies in what? In what? It's not called LGBTQ studies. LGBTQ studies. What's the degree? What's the degree in? Oh, she was being sarcastic. Oh, okay, guys. Guys, she was being sarcastic. That's what she was doing. Sorry, I'm sorry. I would prefer if she was just honest. But again, by the way, the Democrats have invested heavily in blue collar jobs, and it is Democrats historically. By the way, what's that? Job Corps. Job Corps is a place where you can go and you can find access to a blue collar job, and you have job training, and you have you can find apprenticeships, and the Trump administration is shutting that down right now. Where's the money? Where's the money compared in this bill for blue collar jobs versus the infrastructure bill? Do you guys think, for you Republicans, do you ever get tired of having to interpret the things that the people on your side say? In order for you to call me a liar, you have to add words to what she said, right? That's the point. Because what she doesn't want to tell you is like where they're specializing, what field they're specializing in when it comes to LGBTQ. She's just giving you the buzzword. That's the whole point of that argument. Does it never get tiring for you that you have to take their words and you have to interpret them in order to call me a liar? Why can't they just use the right words? Why do they just not use the right words? And I can't criticize them for not using the right words? I think that's kind of bizarre. Speaking of bizarre, here's Kristi Noem yesterday as she was down at Alligator Alcatraz, and she tells one of the craziest stories. This is what they do. This is what we call fear-mongering. When remember, before she tells you this story to explain why ICE is doing such a good job, please remember that 70% of the people that ICE has detained and taken into custody, 70% of them have no criminal record. 75% of the people who they sent to CCOT have no criminal record. So please remember that when she tells you that what ICE is doing is taking dangerous criminals off the street. What ICE is mostly doing is taking non-violent, misdemeanor charged people off the streets. They will always give you a scare story. They will always pretend that that's what they're really doing. But the majority, 70 to 75% of what they're doing is taking people away who are just working. They're just yanking people from job sites. They're taking away people who are just here trying to make a better life for themselves. That's most of what they're doing. So don't let them fearmonger you into ignoring the 70% of people. Because that's what we're criticizing, by the way. Nobody gives a fuck if you deport a violent criminal. Nobody cares. Nobody ever stands up for. Even you can even point to Abrego Garcia. The problem with Abrego Garcia is he was not a convicted violent criminal. There were accusations against him, and we just felt like he needed due process. And I think Abrego Garcia, for the record, is a bad person. And I could give a shit if Abrego Garcia gets deported. I just want the process to be done the right way. And that's what America is. That's why we have innocent until proven guilty. The way our justice system was set up by design is that it was better for a guilty person to go free than an innocent person to wind up in jail. That was kind of the ideology behind how we do our justice system here. Is that, yes, sometimes guilty people will get off the hook. P. Diddy off the hook today. But that's better than putting a bunch of innocent people in jail. And I feel like Republicans have switched on that. I don't think you guys care about that anymore. I think that you would rather see one guilty person go to jail and 100 innocent people go to jail too, just so that you can you're like, oh, well, that's all right. Mistakes happen. We'll put innocent people in jail. But it's because of this type of fear-mongering that you've gotten that way.
President Trump is upholding freedom by what he is doing. The freedom to live.
Wait, not unfortunately that's for citizens. That's for everybody. The Supreme Court is, well, I don't know how you're still here. The Supreme Court has ruled time and time again that if you are here in the United States, regardless of your citizenship, you are entitled to due process. That is the Supreme Court ruling that. If you're going to say that's only for citizens, what you should be saying is, in my opinion, we should change the law so that it only applies to citizens. But you can't say it only applies to citizens because it doesn't. It applies to everybody. You can advocate that we change the law, which for some reason they're not doing. But in order for you to be right about that, you've got to change the law. The law as it stands right now says you can sprint through the border. It doesn't matter how you get here. Once you are on U.S. soil, you are entitled to due process. That's what the Supreme Court has ruled. You guys live in this world where you think like, oh, but my feelings are more important than the law. I feel this way, and so we should just do it. That is a lawless society. If we start doing things based on how we feel, what the fuck good is the Constitution? What the fuck good is the law? If we just do whatever we want, then why do we even have laws? See the problem here? We just need to, I actually wouldn't really be that upset if we changed the laws that said there are different rules for U.S. citizens and people who are here illegally. And like maybe there's a different pool of attorneys. I don't know. I'm sure you could find a middle ground with me where there would be a separate set of rules. But right now there aren't. And so you're advocating that we violate the Constitution, we violate U.S. laws because you feel like it. And that's a dangerous place to be.
Safely in this country and to do things legally and to have justice. And because those liberals, and I'm calling out you, CNN.
Okay.
I'm calling you out because you lie every single day about what these operations are. We are going after murderers and rapists and traffickers and drug dealers and getting them off the streets and getting them out of this country because
70% of the people you grab are not that. I bet if we did the numbers, I bet it's far less than 5% of the people that they have deported are guilty of any of those crimes.
Joe Biden let the worst of the worst come in here. The other day I was talking to...
Nobody they're deporting is from Joe Biden's era, mostly, by the way. Look, Abrego Garcia wasn't from the Joe Biden asylum seekers. Most of these people that they're getting right now, you keep hearing stories like they've been here for 20 years, they've been here for 15 years. These aren't asylum seekers. They're not going after asylum seekers. Most of the people that came here during Joe Biden's administration were asylum seekers. Every fucking thing. It's so ironic for them to say that, like, I'm calling you out, CNN, you're lying. And here I'm about to say a bunch of lies. We're going after these people. No, you're not. You're mostly not going after those people. They came in during Joe Biden. No, statistically, most of the people that they have picked up have been here for years, not during the Biden administration. It is so fucking ironic to call out CNN for telling the truth, by the way. She didn't point out a lie, and then sit there in front of these cameras and lie. And the thing is honest to God, I'm going to give Kristi Noem some credit. I think she's too fucking stupid to know. Her job is to be a pretty face. Let's be honest about it. She has no clue what she's doing. She sat in front of Congress and didn't know what habeas corpus was. This is not an intelligent person.
To some marshals that have been partnering with ICE, they said that they had detained a cannibal and put him on a plane to take him home. And while they had him in his seat, he started to eat himself. And they had to get him off and get him medical attention. These are the kind of deranged individuals that are on our streets in America that we're trying to target and get out of our country because they are so deranged they don't belong here.
This is the number one indicator that you are being lied to, is when everything that you're being told is a story. Stories work. Stories connect to people. But if everything they're telling you is always a story, how many? These are the type of people. How many other cannibals did you guys deport? What type of person is a cannibal? Like, if you're saying, like, these are the type of people, what other crimes are similar to, like, cannibalism?
President.
Somebody said, where am I getting those numbers? We're getting those numbers from CBP. Let's see. It might be even lower. One report from CBP from October 2024 to 2025 said less than 10% of the 185 individuals booked into ICE custody during that period were convicted of murder, rape, assault, or robbery. I was about right. Another report says more than 93% of ICE book-ins during that period were not convicted of any violent offense. 93% no violent offenses. Now, again, if you are convicted of a non-violent offense and you're going to be deported, I still don't have a problem with that. But why are they lying? Why are they always lying? This report is from June 2025. This is according to the Cato Institute, a very, very right-wing libertarian organization. As of June 14th, so this is the most conservative number. As of June 14th, ICE had booked into detention 204 individuals since October 1. Of those bookings, 65% had no criminal convictions. 65%. That's the conservative. The more liberal sites are saying 70%. 65% had no criminal conviction whatsoever. So, fine. If you tell the story, Kristi Noem, say, here's some examples of some violent criminals. Here's the percentage of people that we're picking up who are violent criminals. Here's the percentage of people with no criminal history at all. But when they sit there and they tell you that they are focused on violent criminals, and clearly they're not focused on violent criminals because the overwhelming majority of the people not only aren't violent criminals, they have no criminal offense at all. Why do you allow them to lie to you like that? Where's your integrity? They're not focused on violent criminals. That's a lie. Statistically, it's a lie. There's no other option there. I guess the wife of an active duty Marine is a cold hard criminal too. Yeah. This was, like I said, while they were down there
Trump
at the concentration camp down there in Florida, which, by the way, I had not thought of this, and admittedly, I stole this idea from somebody else, but I don't remember who. It was just on Twitter. That's a tent, and we got hurricane season coming, and there's videos you can go see online, like, in fact, I saved one. I didn't add it to the outline. Let me show you. Even before hurricane season, we're already getting flooding in, did I save it? Maybe I didn't save it. Never mind. Anyways, we're already getting flooding. I don't know how that thing's going to stand up during hurricane season. They'll probably just all die, and then Republicans will be like, well, I guess they shouldn't have been illegal. Here's Trump being asked a question. He's being asked a question about detainees. This is not a cognitively coherent human being. This is an idiot. This is a man who once was like had average intelligence. And he's so cognitively declined that he's asked about detainees, and his answer never comes close to being anything remotely near the question. El Dizzle said, for Jen and team, how do you cancel your sperm bank appointment? Tell them you can't come. Justin's favorite word, apprenticeship. Amy Lynn said, I thought you'd be more into a laundry. Oh, I did that one. And their backup dance. I may not even be to that episode yet. I don't know what you're talking about with backup dance. Timmy says, do you still have faith in empathetic humanity? I don't have faith in anything. I think faith is silly. Hey, Jen.
Okay. How's it going?
No.
What?
No.
We haven't talked much today. Things good? Do you have any plans for the 4th of July? What? You don't want to talk to me? That's
No,
bad.
I don't want to talk to you like that. What the fuck do you want?
If you guys don't know, Jay hates small talk, so I gotta make it awkward every now and then. So
Steven says I have some nerve for saying that Trump has cognitive decline. He's very upset with that.
let me guess. Have you seen Biden? I'm not reading the chat, but that'd be my response.
Hey, Jen, did I
guess
when Joe Biden was in office, did I regularly point to the fact that he had obvious cognitive decline?
Yeah, slow down.
Yeah. Did I say that almost every day?
When it came up, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
So I mean, it's recognizing that someone isn't as sharp as they used to be isn't an insult, but whatever.
There we go.
Yeah. But anyways, so our contest winner decided to go with the soy candle.
Oh, adorable.
Right? That's fun. So you guys, if you were here yesterday or if you weren't here yesterday, we did a little bit of a contest with some jokes and we voted on the best one and got a piece of our merch. So if you haven't checked out our merch, if you go into the link tree in the bio, you can see we're on most social media platforms and our merch stores in there too, if you guys are so inclined. We've got about 2 hours left of the show. So if you look in that top left-hand corner, and I think Jane needs to update the number a little bit. I could be wrong.
You're right.
We've got about 2 hours left to wrap that up. This is our job. We do this each day, Monday through Friday from 9:30 to 1 Pacific time. So if you guys could help us out with that, the Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats, all go towards knocking that out. And if we could do that quick, fast, and in a hurry, that would be super. Because that's how, like I said, this is our job, as much as people would disagree. If you haven't subscribed to us already, please do so. You can subscribe on anywhere you're watching. On Twitch, you can use your Amazon Prime sub. If you've used it before, you might want to double check that it didn't expire. You have to renew that each month. It doesn't automatically renew. On YouTube, you can do a free subscription, but we also have 4 different memberships over there. We have a member-only event that we're doing this Sunday, and I'm going to tie down the times exactly, so we'll be doing that. And then, so if you guys disagree with RTP and would like to come up and talk to him, how you do that is you look at the Venmo username, and that is my Discord. If you add me on Discord and send me a message, I can bring you up to talk to Jay in real time. And let's see, what else am I forgetting? I don't think I'm forgetting else on that. Just, if you guys help us out with the gift goal, that would be fantastic. Did you know that when strippers get cash that gets splooge on it, they actually have to make a report to the government?
I didn't know that.
It's because it's actually gross income.
Gross. Somebody said, do I believe that undocumented immigrants are taking billions of dollars in Medicaid and SNAP? No, and nobody, some people believe that, but nobody actually has data for that, including the Republicans. According to Republicans' own data, even when they try and skew it, first of all, you need to understand that if you are here illegally, you cannot get Medicaid and you cannot get SNAP. There were 1.5 million non-citizens that were on SNAP in 2023, I think. It might have been 2022. But those are people who have are lawful either permanent residents, refugees, asylees or other legal immigrants that don't have residence or don't have citizenship yet. So the only way that you really can get Medicaid is if you are going to emergency care. About 0.4% of total Medicaid spending in 2023 went toward emergency care for undocumented immigrants. So out of the $900 billion in total Medicaid that was spent in 2023, $3.8 billion of that went towards people who were undocumented. So no, I don't. Not only do I not believe it, but I also have data, and the data says that that's also untrue. But here's Trump being completely lost. Good luck defending this.
Expected time frame that detainees will spend here, days, weeks, months, and does that have anything to do with the immigration judges you just spoke about being trained and staffed here?
Just to be clear, the question is, do you have an idea of how long these detainees will be here? And does that have anything to do with the judges that you just spoke about?
When you say, what was the first part of your question?
Is there a specific time frame you expect the detainees to spend here? Days, weeks, months?
Well, how long do you expect the detainees to stay here?
Florida?
Yes, here at Alligator Alcatraz.
I'm going to spend a lot. Look, this is my home state. I love it. I love your government. I love all the people around. These are all friends of mine. They know them very well. I mean, I'm not surprised that they do so well. They're great.
These are all friends of mine. They know them very well. Excuse me? Where are we going to talk about? Are we talking about the detainees right now, or are you just talking about your friends, bud?
People. Ron has been a friend of mine for a long time. I feel very comfortable in the state. I'll spend a lot of time.
Ron DeSatan, Ron DeSanctimonious. They've been friends for a long time. Notoriously good friends, Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump.
I'm here. I want to, for 4 years, I've got to be in Washington, and I'm okay with it because I love the White House. I even fix up the little Oval Office. I make it, it's like a diamond. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. It wasn't maintained properly, I will tell you that. But even when it wasn't, it was still the Oval Office, so it meant...
Yeah, he thinks that she asked him how long he's going to be in Florida. He's already, now he doesn't know what words mean. What are we talking about here? Where's my... Are we taking this out of context, Republicans? I'm sorry. Are we taking this out of context, this brilliant man here? Rambling incoherently?
A lot. But I'll spend as much time as I can here. You know, my vacation is generally here because it's convenient. I live in Palm Beach. It's my home. And I have a very nice little place, nice little cottage to stay at, right? But we have a lot of fun. And I'm a big contributor to Florida. You know, pay a lot of tax. And a lot of people move.
No matter what question he was asked, this answer doesn't make sense. What if no matter what he thinks they asked, this incoherent rambling it's gibberish, but it has nothing to do with detainees.
From New York, and I don't know what New York is going to do. A lot of people moved to Florida from New York, and it was for a lot of reasons, but one of them was taxes. The taxes are so high in New York, they're leaving. I don't know what New York's going to do about that, because some of the biggest, wealthiest people and some of the people that pay the most taxes of any people anywhere in the world, for that matter, they're moving to Florida and other places. So we're going to...
Because Florida lets you be a tax cheat, which, by the way, Donald Trump also didn't pay his taxes when he was in Florida or in New York either.
Have to help some of these states out, I think. But thank you very much. I'll be here as much as I can. Very nice question.
Yeah, there's no state tax in Florida. Yeah. All right. Here we go.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Amen. DOJ today announces a plan to prioritize cases to revoke citizenship. This is where it's starting to get scary. The Justice Department's aggressively prioritizing efforts to strip some Americans of their U.S. citizenship. Department leadership is directing its attorneys to prioritize denaturalization in cases involving naturalized citizens who commit certain crimes. Now, some of this I don't have a huge problem with. I don't think that if somebody comes here and they have committed crimes, if they lied to get here, I could see a scenario where if somebody had a criminal history, they lied, they came here to the United States, we found out about that criminal history. I think that maybe I don't think that person should just walk free, especially if they're like horrific crimes. I think it would be okay to extradite that person back to the country where they committed crimes. Now, this is already something that we can do. You can already extradite people back. Florida said that they were going to do that to the Tates. if the Tates came back to Florida. So this is already something that can happen. And that's why I think that this has a lot more to do with Project 2025 than what they're saying. Giving U.S. attorneys wider discretion on when to pursue this tactic, according to a June 11th memo published online. The move is aimed at U.S. citizens who were not born in the country, according to data from 2023. That's close to 25 million immigrants who are naturalized citizens. If Admir's here, I hope you're listening. Assistant Attorney General Brett Shumate wrote in the memo that pursuing denaturalization will be among the agency's top 5 enforcement priorities for the civil division. Where it gets scary is the DOJ memo says that the federal government will pursue denaturalization cases via civil litigation. Now, this is where I see this as problematic. This is their way to avoid criminal charging them with a crime. They can just charge them with a civil crime. That means the standard of evidence, the bar for a conviction, is lower. They want to be able to remove citizenship, but they don't want to have to do it through criminal courts because there's a higher bar. You really actually have to prove that somebody is guilty and not just liable, which is ironic, right? That this administration is saying that if you are held civilly liable for something, then it's basically the same thing. Isn't that ironic that suddenly being held civilly liable is the same thing? And it's definitely an okay bar. Civilly liable, yeah, the level of evidence might be lower, but like if somebody's held civilly liable of a crime, we certainly should be able to strip them of their citizenship. But if they're civilly liable of rape, we'll just call that bullshit and we'll vote for this dumb bitch anyways. Cool double standard here, MAGA. Cool double standard here. In civil proceedings, any individual subject to denaturalization is not entitled to an attorney. So if you're poor and they accuse you of something, you're going to have to represent yourself if you don't have money. See the problem we're creating right here? Somebody comes here. They come here through they are naturalized. They are accused of something. Maybe that accusation is a trumped up charge. You don't have money for an attorney. Now you have to go defend yourself against the Department of Justice in civil court. I just came a couple weeks ago. I was at Lori Vallow's attempted murder trial here in Phoenix, and she chose to defend herself. And I can tell you, as she tried her very best, she was way out of her league. She had no clue what she was doing, and she had 3 attorneys next to her helping her, and she still couldn't get it done. Hans von Spakovsky with the Conservative Heritage Foundation supports the DOJ's denaturalization efforts. I do not understand how anyone could possibly be opposed to the Justice Department taking such action to protect the nation from obvious predators, criminals, and terrorists. Well, the problem is that we don't think that this administration in this country has a good history of obvious predators, criminals, and terrorists. 75% of the people serving life sentences in CCOT right now were not convicted of a crime. So we don't trust them. But do you see how they always spin this and say, like, how could you possibly not support this? Well, because we've seen what you do. We've seen who you are sending to jail currently, and those people have no criminal convictions. So we're concerned that you may just strip the rights of people who you don't like or who you don't agree with, and there's not shit we can do about it. As for the due process concerns, von Spakovsky says, nothing prevents that alien from hiring their own lawyer to represent them. They're not entitled to have the government, and thus the American taxpayer, pay for their lawyer. Well, you and I would be. Natural-born citizens would be. We would have that. We have that right. That's part of it. So now not only are we taking away the rights from people who are here without legal status, those who are naturalized citizens, Admir, if you're here, they could just be like, Admir's hosting me. I say things like free Palestine. I talk shit about the IDF. Admir's a naturalized citizen. They say he's supporting T groups, and now he's got to pay for a lawyer and defend himself. That's as simple as this would be. And by the way, if that happened, and they were showing clips of me saying whatever I say about Palestine, most of you Republicans would be like, yeah, that guy's got to get out of here. He doesn't love America. Why didn't he go back to where he's from? If he's not going to support America, he should go. We are so far beyond fascism, folks. They've already been able to pull this off. They've already been able to just bypass due process. It's not enough for them. They're always going to go further. They'll always take it a step further. There will always be somebody that they can demonize and prosecute. He says that's not a due process violation, since all immigration proceedings are civil matters, and no individuals, including American citizens, are entitled to government-furnished lawyers in any type of civil matter. Yeah, no shit. Yeah, no shit. But you can't question my citizenship. If I'm born here, you can only do it if you are naturalized. According to this new memo, the DOJ is expanding its criteria of which crimes put individuals at risk of losing their citizenship. That includes national security violations and committing acts of fraud against individuals or against the government, like Paycheck Protection Program loan fraud or Medicaid or Medicare fraud. We getting this yet? What even constitutes a national security violation? We've already arrested journalists. We've already arrested people who are here legally who just talk about Israel, and we've decided to call them national security threats, saying that they support T groups, and we arrest them. Is Israel writing this law? Yeah, what the fuck is this? To see that this administration is plotting out how they're going to expand its use in ways that we have not seen before is very shocking and concerning, said Samira Hafitz, the policy director at Immigrant Legal Resource Center. It is kind of, in a way, trying to create a second class of U.S. citizens, where one set of Americans is safe and those not born in this country are still at risk of losing their hard-fought citizenship. We got to do it the right way. We like legal immigration. Just do it the right way. Other immigration experts point to another part of the guidance, which gives U.S. attorneys broader discretion to determine other eligible denaturalization cases. These categories do not limit the civil division from pursuing any particular case. The memo states, and priorities for denaturalization can include any other cases referred to the civil division and the division determines to be sufficiently important to pursue. The government could just say, yep, it's important, we're going to pursue it. What struck me is the ripple effect, says Lubat. I forgot Lubat, who is a author and journalist. What struck me is the ripple effect that this would have on children who were naturalized through their parents. People who thought they were safely American and had done nothing wrong can suddenly be at risk of losing their citizenship. Don't tell us that. Stop trying to tell us that this isn't like xenophobia. Stop telling us this isn't about racism. Stop telling us that this is about legal immigration. It's absolutely not. We're just doing fascism. Can I trade my citizenship? That's a good question. The ones doing it the right way, why did he revoke legal status? Yeah, all these people have done it the right way. I just think I have friends, family. We all have friends and family who you have said for years they're doing it the right way. And now this administration wants the ability to take away their citizenship based on whatever they see fit. That's what the loophole says. Originally, like you hear the Heritage Foundation, and when Republicans, when this is brought to them, they'll say, no, we're only going after violent criminals. When have we seen that before? We saw that with these deportations. And what MAGA has realized is that they can tell you one thing and do something completely different, and you won't care. You'll just support it. If you're a Republican here, can you please raise your hand and tell me if you support this? That people who are naturalized citizens should be able to have their citizenship revoked if our Justice Department just determines that it's necessary. Right? I just want to see if there's any Republicans here that support that. Well, we go to the next one. Yeah, let's do this. It's a New York Times article coming out of Mississippi. I think one of the things that we need to be aware of is the use of these detention facilities and how they may be used for slave labor. Somebody was accusing us of being like pro-slave labor earlier, but I would remind you that we do have slave labor in this country. And there is a carve-out for slave labor in this country, meaning that if you are a criminal, you can perform slave labor. I would not be surprised if we start to see people who are detained as illegal immigrants working for slave labor. This is a story from the New York Times about a corrupt sheriff in Mississippi. Brian Bailey, the Mississippi sheriff whose department had been under federal investigation for torturing people, staffed his mother's commercial chicken farm with inmates from the county jail and used taxpayer-purchased equipment to improve the grounds, according to 4 former inmates and a former deputy who said that they had worked on the farm. They said inmates with special privileges, known as trustees, were repeatedly driven to the farm, sometimes by Sheriff Bailey himself, to perform various tasks on top of their daily work duties for Rankin County. Former trustees and others who worked on Sheriff Bailey's family farm said inmates had received cash or meals in exchange for the work. The former deputy, Christian Dedman, who is currently serving a federal prison sentence, said he had worked on the farm while he was on the clock at the sheriff's department. For years, people familiar with the sheriff's activities kept quiet, but now they're coming forward. That began in 2023 when 5 Rankin County sheriff's deputies were charged with civil rights offenses for torturing 2 black men in their home and shooting one of them in the mouth. A subsequent investigation by the New York Times and Mississippi Today revealed that deputies in the department, including those who called themselves the Goon Squad, had used similar brutality for nearly 2 decades against those they suspected of using or dealing drugs. Mr. Dedman, one of 5 Rankin deputies who pled guilty in the torture case, has begun speaking openly about his time at the department. I hid everything for him, Mr. Dedman said to the sheriff. I done everything for him. I know now I was just a tool being used at a certain time like everyone else. In a series of interviews, Mr. Dedman described how he had transported inmates from the Rankin County Pretrial Detention Trustee Work Program to the farm and worked alongside them. Mr. Dedman said the sheriff had instructed him to use a construction vehicle bought by the department in 2019 for $97,000 to till soil for corn and clear wooded areas on the farm. The vehicle, called a skid steer by those who used it, was sometimes even stored there. County financial records show that since 2018, the sheriff's department has purchased skid steer attachments worth more than $50,000, nearly $10,000 worth of weed killer, as well as supplies designed to care for poultry. Several former trustees said they had worked on vehicles owned by deputies or by the sheriff, who earns nearly $120,000 a year, making one of the highest paid officials in Mississippi. Mr. Dedman said that in 2020, he paid trustees to build the back deck of his home at Sheriff Bailey's suggestion. Is anybody surprised that a bunch of white folks from Mississippi think they get slaves? A bunch of white folks who work for the government in Mississippi think that they get slaves. Is anybody surprised by that? This is actual slavery in the United States, in a deeply red state. And where are they putting all these detention facilities? In red states. And do we have oversight on these detention facilities? No, we're supposed to. But somewhere along the line, these people running the detention facilities have just decided we don't have to let members of Congress in here anymore. Even though they are the people charged with oversight, fuck them. We're just going to do whatever we want. This is actual slavery uncovered in Mississippi. And you might say, I'll see the Republicans, well, they're inmates. Inmates can work. First of all, I don't think inmates should be required to work for slave wages. I think that part of our Constitution should be revoked. However, I do understand that legally they can. And I understand that legally many of them choose to. They choose to because it's better than sitting in jail. Getting outside and working is better for them. I understand they choose that. I think they should be paid, at the very least, minimum wage. But these folks were not doing work for the county, the state, the city. Nobody got a benefit from this. They were doing work for the sheriff department, fixing their cars, building a deck, providing free labor to the sheriff's mother's farm so that they could benefit. That, by definition, is fucking slavery. This is what red states want to do. You guys, you're at the point now where you have dehumanized immigrants to the point that if any of these states said, like if Florida tomorrow said, we're going to house immigrants and we're going to force them to work, and we're going to force them to do work to help the taxpayers, none of you would be uncomfortable with having slaves again. That's where we're at. Tell me the difference. Tell me the difference. Honestly, what percentage are there any Republicans here in the chat today that if Ron DeSantis said these people working at Alligator or living at Alligator Alcatraz are going to be forced to work, and they're going to have to go build roads or pick up trash or make license plates? If you're a Republican in here and you would oppose that, please raise your hand. I'd love to see that. I think most of you would think that's a great idea. I think you would support that. Don't rape, steal, or kill. Yeah. Yeah, forced, no. They can pay for their stay. See what I'm seeing? They can pay for their stay. Yes. Yeah. See? Look at them. You're all justifying slavery right now. They were working. They were paying their own way. You pulled them out of their jobs, throw them in a concentration camp, and then go, you got to work for us now. Now that you live in this concentration camp, you better start paying your bills. They were paying their bills. They weren't charged. It was costing you nothing. You were fine. It didn't cost you a dime. I thought more of you. 0 people raised their hand. 0 Republicans here today raised their hand. Every one of them immediately started justifying slavery. To become a trustee in Mississippi, inmates were required to sign documents agreeing to accept the maximum sentence for their crimes if they were removed from the program for any reason. If they didn't follow orders and they got removed, they had to agree to a maximum sentence. Any sort of flexibility and parole for their crimes was gone because they didn't agree to fix the sheriff's truck. This is fucking crazy. Every Republican here says slavery is fine. We agree to slavery. That's why we're fucked. You guys are justifying slavery today. That's what you showed up to do today. Slavery. We like slavery. No, you're all justifying slavery. That's exactly what you're doing. Why is it not slavery? Explain to me why it's not slavery. What's the difference between saying a slave is going to live in the housing that I provide for slaves, and we feed these slaves, so because we're feeding and housing these slaves, they must work in our field? What's the difference, please? They also were undocumented immigrants, by the way. Just explain. Bad? No, it's not a bad argument. You don't like it. This is a great fucking argument. It's exactly the same. It is a great argument. You just don't like the mirror that's being held up to you right now. What's the difference between saying a slave that lives in the slave quarters and eats the food that I provide them is required to work for that food and that shelter? What's the difference? It's crazy. Whether it's happening or not, all of you want it to happen. None of you raised your hand and said, I would oppose this. I understand it's not happening yet. This is what's called a hypothetical. And in this hypothetical that I just threw out there, all of you said, fuck it, let's do it. Yeah, let's do slavery. Yeah, we should do slavery. Hey, Jen.
Yep. Check some messages.
Sure.
So we got some memos that came through.
Okay. Check mine too. You want to do your announcements while I'm doing it?
I mean, same stuff that I've said. We've got about 90 minutes left of the show.
You should have listened the first time, everybody.
I mean, I can repeat it. I mean, I feel like I do need to mix up my whatever the fuck I try to say, like my
delivery.
Spiel, I guess, my delivery, my spiel, because I feel it's getting a little old, a little tired. So I'm trying to like mix it up so it's not as boring. But yeah, we've got 90 minutes left. The gift goal in the top left-hand corner. We're a ways away, I think. So if you guys could help us out, Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats, I'll go towards knocking out that goal. This is our job, as much as people, I'm sure, waiting for the YouTube chat to start talking shit, saying that it's not a job. But as much as they disagree, it is. So if you guys disagree, you want to come up and talk to Jay, how you do that is if you look at the Venmo username, that's my Discord. You can DM me on there, send me a message, and I can bring you up and talk to Jay in real time. That's how you come up and have that conversation.
Real quick, Michael, I say you're saying Donald Trump is the only president alive where his family did not own a slave ever, even Obama's ancestors did. Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. That doesn't just because your ancestors do you think that you get the benefit of your ancestors? If your ancestors didn't own slaves, then you don't get credit for that. Just the same way that if your ancestors did own slaves, you shouldn't be held accountable for that. You can't have it both ways. You can't be like, my ancestors had slaves, but I don't, so I'm good. They were bad. And then be like, my ancestors didn't have slaves. But Trump's ancestors were Nazis, though, if we're going to bring that up. Do you want to bring up the fact that his ancestors were Nazis or no?
I mean, that's like what Jessica said in the Twitch chats, because the only reason they didn't have them is because they weren't here.
Yes. Yeah.
They didn't go here yet. So...
Michael, I didn't say Trump necessarily was for slavery. Remember what I'm saying? This is what's crazy about you guys. I'm talking to fucking you. I didn't mention Trump. I asked you guys in the chat if you would be okay with slavery if, in a hypothetical world, Trump decided to do this. I didn't even say Trump will do this. I said, in a hypothetical world where Trump starts doing slavery, would you support it? And you all said yes. This isn't this is a criticism of you, not him. You are the people who said, yes, let's do slavery. You guys are so obsessed with him that when I criticize you, you get mad because I'm being mean to him. That's fucking crazy. I'm talking to you and you're running defense. Don't talk about our Donald like that. I'm not. I'm talking about you. You said, fuck it, let's do slavery. Not Trump, not me. It was you. You said that. By the way, everybody that's here today, I'm sure most of you are great people. Very fine people on both sides of the aisle here today. But the greatest person in the world is also here, my friend Melissa, who said, Jay, every time you show up on my For You page calling MAGA idiots, it's like Xanax for me. It calms me down. It reminds me that we will get past this, and I'm glad we have you and Jen to remind us that we are okay. That is my former neighbor, former adopted mom, Arizona adopted mom, and also former weed dealer, Melissa, who's the greatest person on earth. And no matter how good of a person you are, you're not quite as good as Melissa. I love you, and I hope that you and Sydney are doing well. Andrea said these ICE pickups are about making the rich richer. This bill adds $40 billion for detention, not deportation, and will allow the doubling of detainees that can be held. Rich getting richer. Love you guys. Thanks for all you do. That's why I'm saying, that's why I brought this story up. That's such a great point, Andrea. That's why I brought this story up, is that the money that we're going to spend on illegal immigration is about detention. And look how easy it was to get you guys in the chat to agree to slave labor. I said, oh, they're at a facility already and it costs money. So what should they do? Should they work? And you all said, yup. So then there will be no incentive to deport people. The incentive now becomes how many people can we detain and leave in these detainment centers so we can use them for cheap labor. And you guys all said, yeah, let's do it. Let's do this shit. You all agreed to slavery, which is fucking wild. Anything else, Jen?
I was just waiting for you to finish, Peepaw.
Oh, Birmingham, I only read the chats where people send a super chat. You want me to read your chat? Send me money and I'll read your chat. That's how this works.
Anyways, so like I said, 80 minutes roughly now left of the show. So if you guys could, if you're enjoying the show, and we are crowdfunded, so if you guys could help us out with any of the pay links, that would be fantastic. And also check out our link tree because we're on most social media platforms, Cameo, and we have merch. So yeah, there's that. I got an email the other day telling me how to read maps backwards.
Okay.
Turns out it was just spam.
Namasi said, fun fact, cannibalism is only illegal in Idaho. Is that true? That's crazy. Nobody go out and start eating people. Don't take that as legal advice. Nobody should do that. Jen, is TikTok still alive? I don't see any TikTok chats coming through or Twitch chats. I don't know if TikTok is still live. I'm only seeing YouTube chats coming through right now.
Yeah, it's live.
Okay.
It's there.
All right. For some reason, Streamlabs only showing me YouTube. In other news, is this going to have an ad? It's going to have an ad, isn't it? If I go to Fox. In other news, if I want to show you news from Fox News, they make you watch an ad first every time. I hate all these news channels that do this. There's one that Jenna, what's her name? Jenna Ellis. She has some website where she posts articles all the time, and I try and read them because I want to know what she's saying. But unfortunately, what is this? You can't pause? You pause, you have to watch a bunch of... If you pause on Fox News, there's like, here's 50 other fucking videos to watch. They all have a million ads. Anyways, here's Fox. I have to unmute them, then pause them.
CBS News.
All right.
Well, there was something else that happened yesterday that we haven't mentioned yet, and that is that CBS News agreed to pay a settlement to President Trump after this. This is from Paramount Global, right? And they have a merger that they want to get through in front of the federal government. Might have led to this settlement. It says that the company has agreed that in the future, 60 Minutes will release transcripts of interviews with eligible U.S. presidential candidates after such interviews have aired, subject to redactions as required for legal or national security concerns, because this had to deal with Kamala Harris's interview with 60 Minutes and if they edited it. Okay, so here's what aired.
Well, let's start with October 7. 1,200 people were massacred. 250 hostages were taken, including Americans. Women were brutally raped. And as I said then, I maintain Israel has a right to defend itself. We would. And how it does so matters. Far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed. This war has to end.
And Trump and his team said, 60 Minutes by editing put his thumb on the scale right before the election.
Who do you think got swayed by that? Out of curiosity, Chris says, "Love the info while watching the crash outs in the chat."
Yeah, and the fact that the only reason any of this happened, much like with the University of Pennsylvania decision, the only reason any of this happened is because President Trump was willing to go and pick a fight that few Republicans ever want to get into. And
yeah, because it's fucking insane. It's fucking insane that he sued CBS for editing, and what he sued them for, and the reason that, the whole reason that they were never going to win this lawsuit, Trump would not have won this lawsuit if it went to court, is because what he's accusing them of is not playing the full interview in a teaser, in a trailer. Of course, you can't play the full interview in a trailer. Everything that she said was included in the replay. But in the trailer, they edited her answers down shorter. And Donald Trump held that over their head, knowing that they had a merger coming up, and it was cheaper for them to pay him $16 million so that they could help this merger go through than it would be to fight in court, because they need President Trump's approval to merge with something. I can't remember, not ByteDance, it's something dance. I can't remember what it was. They want to merge, and so they had to pay Trump $16 million. This is called a shakedown. There was, by the way, here's what the accusation was. Let's look at it, and you just tell me. The full answer to Whitaker's question, as quoted in the transcript and backed up by the footage, is this. Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region. And we're not going to stop doing that. We are not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need for this war to end. So the unedited answer is a combination of what aired in prime time and what aired on Sunday morning, separated only by the interstitial phrase, and we're not going to stop doing that. Meaning that we're not going to stop doing that was edited out for time in the primetime interview, but on Sunday morning when it aired in its entirety, it was included. This sentence, we are not going to stop pursuing what is necessary. We're not going to stop doing that, which was right here. And we're not going to stop doing that. That's what was edited out. Donald Trump claims that put the thumb on the scales because they edited it out in one broadcast, and we're not going to stop doing that. I just showed you the clip, dipshit. God damn, I just showed you. I just played it. It was just right there. We just played it. That was the clip. Wrong. Where's the clip? Why are you saying wrong if you don't know? Are you just knee-jerk reacting, saying that it's wrong? By the way, if you think that editing things out is a reason
CNN chief media analyst Brian
for
Stelter
somebody to be sued, let's talk about Fox News editing the barbershop interview from Trump.
Now, Brian, you've reviewed the full Fox video. What did you find comparing it to what aired?
By the way, I want to throw a bone to my Republicans.
Right. Listening to you, I'm reminded of the old expression.
Pause it. Throwing a bone to my Republican friends, that was a terrible fucking answer. It was a terrible answer by Kamala Harris. It was absolute word salad. It was an awful answer. None of that, no part of that answer really made sense, and none of it really mattered at all. It was a garbage answer. It was her sitting on the fence, refusing to take a side in a conflict that she knew her party was divided on. She refused to take a side. It was a wishy-washy, bullshit, terrible fucking answer. And nobody watching that was like convinced one way or the other. That was a horrific answer. So I'll throw a bone to, and I'll agree with the Republicans there. That was a terrible answer. It was a word salad. The thing that they accuse her of doing all the time, that's an example of a word salad that meant nothing. But here's now Fox doing the exact same thing. And nobody's suing Fox because we're not little bitches.
That everybody needs a good editor. I know I certainly do. But so does Donald Trump. And that's why this story is curious. It's because Trump has been attacking 60 Minutes for its editing decisions, accusing the network of conspiring with Kamala Harris to make her look better by editing her answers in a recent interview. CBS denies that, and last night, CBS sent a letter to Trump basically swatting away his threats to sue the network. But that's the curious context for this story about Trump's recent appearance on Fox. He visited a barbershop in the Bronx, and when he was there, Fox camera crews tagged along. I was able to watch a fuller version of the experience, the interaction.
But Pat, okay, look, let's have an honest discussion here, Pat. You said they edited it down to make her look smart, and she is not smart. I disagree with that, but they didn't. They played it in its entirety. Let me help you understand how this works. They did a full interview with Kamala Harris, and it was to air on Sunday. The full interview was airing on Sunday. On Saturday, as a teaser, they showed edited clips from the full interview that would air on Sunday because it was cut down for time. You see this, like they would have done it with this Trump interview too. That's how they like promote it. They say, tomorrow we're going to have this full interview, and they'll release just clips, and all clips by definition are edited. So they said, come watch this interview. And the part that they took out is so irrelevant. It didn't explain to me. I understand you're saying like it made her look dumb or it made her look smart. It didn't. The whole answer, none of that answer was smart. It was gibberish. It was nothing. But they played it in its entirety. Are you saying that now media companies should always just have to air everything in their entirety and they can't do teasers now? They can't show clips? This is silly. This is why he didn't win. They settled because he held that over their head. This is called a bribe. And where does that money go, by the way? Where does that $16 million go? Whoop, right in his pocket.
Via Instagram, because one of the attendees filmed it and put it on Instagram. And what I noticed were all of these moments where Trump was either lying or exaggerating or rambling or going off script, and Fox cut those out of the broadcast.
Anybody who says show both clips, you guys have to shut the fuck up. You get next person that says show both clips. I showed the full fucking clip. I showed it already. We just showed it. Rewind. Jesus Christ.
Here's an example. Here's a clip that Fox actually did air. Notice how he seems to answer the question from the attendee right away.
So my question is, with all this extra revenue we're going to be bringing into the country, so do you believe at some point in time we could find a way, once the country's back on its feet and getting enough revenue and paid off our debt, do you think it's possible to find a way to eliminate federal taxes?
There is a way.
And how do you feel about it?
You know, in the old days, when we were a smart country, in the 1890s and all, this is when the country was relatively the richest it ever was.
Good question, interesting answer, but actually that attendee had to ask the question 4 times and get Trump to answer, and Fox stitched it together over the course of 7 minutes to create the illusion of one clear answer. Participants had to keep following up when Trump would meander and ramble. Now, this is an example of what some Trump critics call sane washing, the press sometimes cleaning up Trump's speech to make him sound more sane. I would call it an example instead of normalizing. You know, it's an example of normalizing Trump to fit him into a TV time slot. Sometimes when that happens, you end up cutting out a lot of his false claims and rambling.
Yeah, and something that was not edited was CNN's town hall with Harris last night. You're getting a look at some of the ratings. What is it?
Well, once again,
Say.
we'll make this easier for you guys because you didn't understand it. I will show you back to back the edited versus unedited clip. I'm sorry that by reading the transcript it fucked you up. Here is the edited versus the unedited clip. The first clip that you're going to see is the actual answer. The second is the edited answer. And then when we're done with that, I need you to explain to me why it's okay for Fox to edit out the fact that the guy had to ask the question 4 times before Trump answered it, because that would make him look pretty fucking stupid, right? If it took 4 tries to get an answer. Why? After we watch this, then I just want you guys to engage in the conversation. Be good faith. I'm doing what you've asked. I'm going to show you this again. I'm not going to read the transcript this time. I'm just going to show it to you. And after that, I need you to explain why what Trump and Fox did was okay, but what 60 Minutes did was wrong. Thank you.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
We're not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need for this war to end.
But it seems...
So they shortened her answer. In one clip, which was meant to be a teaser, they shortened it. And in the other clip, they showed it in its entirety. And the 60 Minutes interview, which they told you, you can watch this in its entirety tomorrow. Are you telling me that the people who watched this clip, you think that the people that watched whose mind did this change? And why do you think that this is a problem? Now that we've done that, why is this bad, but Fox editing interviews is okay? And yeah, by the way, he also still won.
Said,
he would never have been able to prove any damages. How about this? How about Fox editing out part of the interview of Trump, where Trump said, remember when Republicans started saying like, oh, it's the rhetoric by the left. Watch Fox edit out Trump's rhetoric when he says the Americans who don't support him are the enemy within, that they're dangerous, that they're sick and evil. How about when Fox edited this clip? Are we going to be upset about this?
We asked that question to the former president today. Harris Faulkner had a town hall, and this is how he responded.
Here's what Fox played.
I heard about that. They were saying I was like threatening. I'm not threatening anybody. They're the ones doing the threatening. They do phony investigations. I've been investigated more than Alphonse Capone. He was the greatest gangster. No, it's true. No, but think of it. It's called weaponization of government. It's a terrible thing.
Kamala Harris has said you sounded unhinged and
Okay, did he say anything about calling people the enemy within, dangerous, sick, and evil in that Fox interview, or in that clip played by Fox? Did he say any of that? I want to make sure these are the exact words. Did he say the enemy within, dangerous, sick, evil? No, he didn't. Now watch the actual interview.
checked power is in our future. What do you say about that?
I thought it was a nice presentation. I wasn't unhinged. You know what they are? They're a party of sound bites. Somebody asked me, can they be brought together? You know, I never thought, really, I wasn't thinking like they could, because they're very, very different. And it is the enemy from within, and they're very dangerous. They're Marxists and communists and fascists, and they're sick. I use a guy like Adam Schiff because they made up the Russia hoax. It took 2 years to solve the problem. Absolutely nothing was done wrong, et cetera, et cetera. They're dangerous for our country. We have China, we have Russia, we have all these countries. If you have a smart president, they can all be handled. The more difficult are, the Pelosi's, these people, they're so sick.
Oh, Mike, you don't want to talk about this anymore now that we're playing the Trump thing? Now all those Trump people that were just bitching, they're all trying to change the subject now. Let's talk about something else.
And they're so...
They left out 6 words that Kamala said he sues them. This is a whole fucking paragraph about how evil the Democrats are And Fox edits that out, and you're like, no, it's fine. Let's talk about something else now. You guys just aren't serious, people. Let's go over to Mom Donnie, and he's getting a lot of heat. Well, right wingers are posting this all the time. I have no problem with this answer. I would again invite anybody who disagrees to please feel free to come up. You can discuss any of this with me. You don't have to sit in the comments.
If you do succeed, let's say, in convincing Albany to raise taxes, and I'm a little skeptical that that'll happen, but
let me read these comments real quick. I imagine Brian as being Texas half brother that utilizes a pocket pen protector and a belt cell phone holder. So fuck Tex and Brian now too. Keep up the good work, you silly little bitch. Chelsea said we should not forget the words plastered on the sign of Auschwitz. Work sets you free. We are staring the world's dark history in the face, and Trump is arrogant enough to try and repeat it. Bradley said, hate to break it to you, but One Piece is well over 1,000 episodes. Son of a bitch. More than we knew. Got all that.
you do. There is concern, as Governor Hochul mentioned, that there will be people who leave New York City for Palm Beach or elsewhere. I know we're not going to be playing our little violins for the billionaires who have to pay more taxes, but they do take a lot of money with them. And in fact, the Citizens Budget Commission found that hundreds of thousands of high-income New Yorkers have left New York City in just the past 5 years. And households that earn more than $1 million pay about 40% of New York City taxes. So why dismiss concerns that your potential tax base that you need to harvest money from to pay for these things will leave?
I don't think that these are concerns to be dismissed. These are ones that I have to engage with. And ultimately, as part of the other conversation of how do we win over voters who haven't yet joined this campaign and this coalition, I have to meet with New Yorkers who are concerned about any aspect of my campaign. I have to meet with them who oppose with this campaign, because I'm not looking to lead a coalition of those that voted for me. I'm looking to lead an entire city of 8.5 million people. And the reason that I believe that we need to increase taxes on the 1% and the most profitable corporations is because of the fact that those are taxes that would then pay for a better quality of life for all.
But only if they stay.
And the reason that I believe that they would stay, because I want them to stay, is that when the Fiscal Policy Institute did an analysis of the top 1% of New Yorkers, they found they leave at 1/4 the rate of other income brackets. And when they do leave, they go to other states that are considered high tax, New Jersey or California.
I've seen this study, and I have to say I'm a little dubious, because we're talking about a major change in the tax system that would hasten departures.
2% is not a major change in the tax system, but I love that she's like, I'm dubious of this study that says that people who leave, the richest people in New Jersey or New York leave, they go to New Jersey or California. You know why people often leave New York City and go to New Jersey or California? A lot of times that they can find more space, and they can find cheaper housing, and they get to do it in a place that shares their values. The richest 1% in New York are largely not conservative people. Why do you think that they would go to Florida? And secondarily, most of these people, their business operates in New York. If you live in New York and your business operates in New York, it probably relies on the economies there in New York. And those economies don't necessarily exist in Florida. There is not this fear-mongering that I don't know why. We have all these just average people constantly saying, please don't tax rich people more. They'll run away. They'll leave us. Good, leave us. We don't need them. We don't need Jeff Bezos. We don't need Elon Musk. They can't take their company with them. Now, and if they shut down their company, someone tomorrow will fill that role. We do not need billionaires. We don't need CEOs. They're all replaceable. Look what happened to United Healthcare. Their CEO was shot down in the street. The next day, they had a new CEO. These people are replaceable. We have to stop pretending like because you're rich, you just must be so incredible that you can't be replaced. These vacuums will be filled almost immediately. If they go somewhere else, maybe they can take their business there. Fine. If they can take their business, they can go. But most of these people can't. They can't take their businesses with them. And most of them don't. You live in New York, you think you're going to be happy in fucking Miami? You're going to be happy in Fort Lauderdale? You're going to be happy in Jacksonville? They're totally different cities. They're totally different politics. There's no evidence that says raising the tax by 2% will cause a massive exodus. This is just fear-mongering.
that are already happening. Again, we've lost hundreds of thousands of wealthy.
Radical left wants to destroy the hardworking billionaire class. That's true. It's true. We do want to get rid of the hardworking billionaire class. That's true.
New Yorkers already.
We now have more millionaires than we did in 2021 in this state. And the reason that I'm confident is all I'm speaking about is a 2% increase in income taxes for New Yorkers who make $1 million or more a year. And when it comes to corporations, it's matching our state's top corporate tax rate, 7.25%, to that of New Jersey, 11.5%. That's why I believe that this is both feasible and necessary, but I'm going to meet with business leaders about this. I've already started having those conversations because I do not want them to leave. I want them to stay. And the reason I think that we can have them stay is we're going to use this money to create a better quality of life, even for themselves.
Yeah. Look, you have the freedom to move around. And if you would like to move, if I'm somebody who's ultra wealthy, like, yeah, maybe if I'm ultra wealthy and I just care about money, maybe I would move to like some place like Dallas or Miami and not pay estate tax. But if you're just like a regular like millionaire, like let's say you're worth $10 million, I wouldn't move. Why would you move your family to Florida or Texas, where your way of life is worse? The education is worse. The infrastructure is worse. Like the stuff that you want, the healthcare is worse. Why would you want to move someplace like that and have a worse quality of life? You have plenty of money. Why you don't? I wouldn't mind paying more in taxes if my quality of life was better. I don't care how much I pay in taxes. I care about how good my life is. And if I have to pay 50% and I still have and I have a better quality of life than when I paid 20%, I'll pay 50%. And that's what Mamdani has found. That's that's this narrative that he's found in America. Most of America is just like they all understand that they're getting screwed. And even the Republicans here, they're like, yeah, we're all getting screwed, but it's better than communism. Even you guys admit that you're being screwed. And so, unfortunately for you guys, the more people listen to Mamdani, and he says, look, it's a 2% tax increase on the wealthiest people in the state. 2% increase. They'll be fine. When people hear that, they're like, oh, yeah, they actually probably will be fine. It's interesting to see the Republicans in here who acknowledge that the system is rigged, and yet you guys advocate for it. You're like, we love this. Don't change anything. In fact, give rich people more money because this is what we like. This is what we live for. This is what we want. I don't understand any of you. I don't get this. You understand that you're being screwed, but you're like, keep screwing us. You got a little bit of a cuck kink, I think. Here is I forget what these guys are called. What he calls his show. This is Chad. He's the guy, the Necessary Conversation, the guy that talks to his parents. This has been devastating to watch because at the start of this, I thought these were really good conversations, and Chad's parents have turned absolutely evil and insane. I've heard them say like, kill immigrants. I've heard him tell his own daughter, I don't give a fuck about you. Fuck you. MAGA destroys families. It destroys lives. And it is destroying what cohesiveness we had in this country. Anybody who thinks that we were more cohesive or less cohesive before Trump came around, you're out of your fucking minds. We weren't like this that long ago, especially politically. Like we disagreed, but it wasn't like it is now. And there's one common denominator. It's Donald Trump. He's the guy. Like all he does is divide. Show me a clip of Donald Trump. Give me any time he spoke to the press. Just find me a clip of him not like talking shit or dividing or calling someone evil or calling someone bad. That's all he does. It's his entire personality. There's no other politician like him except for now the Republicans and maybe now all of us who are forced to cover this guy every day. And now we have to also be divisive because he's divisive. How are we, like, what are we going to do? If we criticize him, you get mad. So now we're divisive just because we criticize the president. That's our job. Those of us that work in media, this is our job. We're supposed to criticize the government. You're supposed to criticize the government. But we can't do that anymore. We can't criticize Donald Trump without you guys getting personally offended. I'll call you a bitch and you don't care. I call Donald Trump a bitch and you freak out. You're like, oh, dare you? You guys are far more worried about people criticizing Donald Trump than like just doing something good for this country.
Why do you think Trump would have sworn in 4 giant tech CEOs to the U.S. military?
If you're not familiar with this story, out of nowhere, all of a sudden, Trump took these tech CEOs and swore them into the military. It's giving Palantir access to all of our data. It's a fair question. Why do you think he did this?
Don't know.
Can you possibly see a version of it where...
So we have somebody who knows their ass from their thumb.
Can you possibly see a version of it where he's doing this?
No.
Because
that's the most MAGA shit. Can you possibly see a scenario? No. He hasn't heard the question yet. This is every MAGA that we talk to. This is all of you guys. Ears closed. The debates we had last night. I never finish my question before you guys say no. Almost never. This is how we become. I don't want to hear like this is what it was like with Obama. I worked for the Romney campaign. I was politically active during Obama. It was never like this. You are lying if you say it was like this with Obama. The only people that were the only radicalized people during Obama were literally the birthers, the people that were claiming his birth certificate was fake and that he was a radical Muslim. And that was led by Donald Trump. Even the crazy shit during Obama's campaigns, that was also Trump. He just brings chaos.
Wants those different companies to have top secret clearance access to all the data.
No, I don't think that's a reason.
Dad, time's not up here. We've got a couple minutes left. You can bow out, as you always do. You can storm off if you need to, but we're going to keep talking.
Take that. What?
Mom, I'm asking you this question.
I mean, that guy is such an insufferable little bitch. He really is. He's the worst type of human being. And these are the loudest Trump supporters. They're just vile, cruel, I don't answer questions. Everything you do is evil. We're not going to discuss anything type of people. Those are the worst type of people. It's not, and again, that exists across the political spectrum, people who don't want to hear anything. But this dad specifically, can you imagine talking to your son like this? Can you imagine hating your son this much because your son asks you questions about Donald Trump? And it makes you so mad that you now don't even like your own son?
And why do you think he swore these people in?
I have no idea, Chad, but I don't think he'd do it for a bad reason. I trust him.
What could the reason possibly be other than to give these companies access to top secret military information?
To help us in some way, the United States.
In what way?
Why do you think? Quit trying to pull words out of my mouth. I'm not going to say. So what?
Stop asking me questions. I trust Donald Trump. Don't ask me questions. Now just give me what you want. Give me your explanation so I can tell you no. You guys can't answer any fucking questions. I beg you every day to come up here and answer questions, and none of you will answer questions. Hey, Pat, I'll stop putting you guys all in the same bucket when you don't come in and say the same shit. Why don't you come up here and talk to me then, Pat? You don't want to be categorized. You're all saying the same thing. Come up here and have a conversation then. But this is what MAGA has become. It's just blanket deep throating of Donald Trump. Like everything Donald Trump says is fucking perfect. And when you don't have an answer for it, you just ask somebody else for their explanation, and then you tell them that you're wrong. I don't think you believe anything. I don't think any of you have any principles. I challenge you. Tell me what your principles are, and I'll show you that you're a hypocrite. You cannot be a principled human being and also be this into Donald Trump. He has flipped his position on everything. He has no real principles. I do honestly believe that your principles are Donald Trump.
Why do you think?
I'm not trying to make you do anything other than go down a little path of logic, because you're running into a wall with it where you're like, I don't know. And then you just leave it at that. But think really about why he's doing this. There's one reason and one reason only. He wants Meta, OpenAI, Palantir. He wants them to have access to all of our military information, because those companies, Palantir, if you don't know what that is, it's Peter Thiel's technology company. They're a big AI company.
That's not true. Peter Thiel does not own Palantir, by the way. He was just an initial investor, and he has some ownership, but it's probably not correct to say that's his company.
Their open stated goal is to build a database of every human on the planet so that they can re-stratify us into a techno-class system and put themselves at the top.
So that's the reason?
Yes.
So that's it? Will it change anything? No. We're just going to show up tomorrow and we're going to say the same shit. It's a lack of thinking that I think is most frustrating. Chrissy says, Play the Fox one where he says he'll release the Epstein files for the commercial, but in the interviews, that's not what he said. We need to sue Fox. I don't think we should sue Fox. I don't think that stooping to that level is the right move. I think highlighting that Donald Trump is silencing free speech is the move here. I think that we should just point out every day that he is like, because if we do this same thing, so if we go and we sue Fox, somebody sues Fox, then what's the difference? Now you've got Trump and his opposition both silencing the media. I don't think that that's the solution. I don't think we should be suing these companies for editing video. Like, I've seen the Fox video. They're allowed to edit that. They're allowed to do it. The fact that we have the video in full means that they aired it in full also. Right? Or they provided the access to it also. They're allowed to edit stuff. They can do that. I think Trump is wrong for suing them. I don't want to be petty. I don't want to be like Donald Trump. I don't think we should play Donald Trump's game. I think that hurts. I think that makes us less free. I think that silences speech more. I don't think Fox News should be sued for editing clips. I don't like that. I don't think that CBS should have been sued for editing clips. Let's see. Let's jump into. I do want to get into some big, beautiful bill stuff. As we know, JD Vance cast the tie-breaking vote yesterday, passed 51-50. It's now back to the House. When I left this morning, the House didn't have votes yet. It was deadlocked at 211. Let me see if we have an updated bill. It looks like. It looks like we're still at 211. Democrats 212. Republican have 211. There's 9 non-votes from the Republicans. As it currently sits, 212 to 211 in favor of the bill not passing. Here is go back here. Here's Chris Murphy. I'm showing you this clip because I feel like this is how most of us felt yesterday. One of the hard parts about watching this bill pass is that there's virtually nothing Democrats can do about it. We have to try and convince Republicans to do the right thing, and there's no incentive for them to do the right thing. The only thing that they're incentivized to do is whatever Donald Trump tells them to do, and that's a pretty helpless feeling, and I think that's what we see out of Chris Murphy here.
I am shaking with fury over what just happened. That's the most monstrous piece of legislation I've ever voted on in my time in Congress. What do those Republican senators go back and tell?
Yeah, Pat, I do think that's okay.
Their constituents that they did. In the final speech, the only thing they mentioned was the money for the border. But what more can they do? They've already militarized the border. They've already created an immigration police state. They didn't mention anything about the fact this bill kicks 17 million people off of their health care. There are going to be thousands of people who die in this country because they lose their.
Let's please remember that an estimated less than 1% of the people that they're kicking off healthcare are people who are getting this in some nefarious way, whether it's through fraud, whether it's through lack of legal right to it, whether it's lack of citizenship. Less than 1% of people who are about to be kicked off their healthcare have been proven to be getting that healthcare in a fraudulent way.
Access to healthcare. There'll be tens of thousands of other lives that are needlessly destroyed. This is the biggest cut in child nutrition.
Pat, you can go watch. If you're saying what have Democrats brought, they brought hundreds of amendments, and every amendment was shut down. Hundreds of amendments. That's what they did the last 2 days. For the last 2 days, Democrats have been bringing amendments. One of the amendments that they brought is to eliminate the tax break for the wealthy and leave everything else as stated. Someone give me an argument for why we can't just raise taxes on rich people and keep the tax cut for the middle class and poor people, or cut taxes for the middle class and poor people, but increase taxes for rich people. Why couldn't we do that? Democrats have offered literally hundreds of amendments, and every amendment has been shot down along partisan lines. If you want to know what they brought to the table, you can go watch it. But there are lots of amendments. One of the amendments was that we would not increase the military budget. They weren't okay with that. One of the amendments was to get rid of the cuts to Medicaid and Medicare. They wouldn't agree to that. One of the amendments was that we don't need to spend $40 million on Trump's garden of, I think it's a garden of heroes or something. The Republicans shut that down. Hundreds of amendments were discussed, and they were all shot down, Pat. Every one of them. Democrats have no leverage, and Republicans sold out completely to Donald Trump. They just want to do whatever Donald Trump tells them to do, they do it. And the ones that don't, he threatens.
In the history of the country, I think, there are going to be moms and dads who literally watch their children go hungry. And why? Because they wanted to pad the pockets of Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago friends. That's the only reason that they are throwing people off of health care, that they are rendering little children hungry so that some billionaire can get an extra $200,000 tax cut. It's just repulsive what they did. Now, it hasn't passed the House. There is a small but not insignificant chance that we can stop this bill before it gets to the president's desk. So let's get to work. Let's keep fighting. Let's not give up. Even if it does pass the House, then we have to tell the world what they did. We have to make sure that every single senator, every single congressman who voted for this from a swing state or a swing district.
See, Pat, you're not serious about this either. I just told you about all these things, and you said, oh, well, let's get the money back from USAID first. See how you're not serious about this? The Republican, you guys, your answer to everything is, let's do this. Advocate for it then. Guess what's not in the bill? Guess what Republicans could do? They could put an amendment in there to try and claw back the money from USAID, but it's not in the bill, so take it up with them. How come everything is the Democrats' fault? Yeah, well, what if we did this first? Yeah, what if we did? Everything you're advocating for, Republicans could do, but they don't. Instead, they prioritize a tax cut for the richest people in this country, and they steal from poor people in order to do it. Why won't you fucking address that? None of you. Why? Why must you take every bit of good that we possibly could do and be like, well, we could do good things, but Democrats. Why do we need to cut taxes for rich people? Fucking why? They've never been more rich. This is the richest that they've ever been. God damn, that's a tough freeze frame there for Chris. Why? Why can't we just charge them more, or at the very least, not charge them less? You guys aren't serious. None of you are. You are just Trump fucking dick suckers. I'm tired of engaging with you. I try and engage and be like, oh yeah, what if we just cut the part where rich people get a break? And you're like, well, actually, let's talk about USAID. Why won't any of you just say rich people shouldn't have their taxes cut? Why not? That's extra revenue. Why do we have to take money from poor people? Why?
Never sets foot in this building again. This is a moral abomination, what they just did. And for what? For what? Just to make the lives of the rich and famous a little bit easier?
Yeah, that's
so
it.
We'll do our work. I'm not giving up. I'm going to do everything I can to stop this bill from passing the House of Representatives. And it has real issues as it heads to the House of Representatives. But if it does become law, we're going to make sure these people pay politically for what they did.
Like, why? I don't get it. Why are we cutting taxes for these people? What the fuck are we doing? We're in debt. Why are we cutting taxes at all? We're in debt. This is going to add $5 trillion to the debt. You're going to rip food out of people's mouths. You're going to defund schools. You're going to defund hospitals. You're going to close hospitals. People will not get medical care. People will die. Why? So rich people can get a tax break. And why do you guys defend it? Because you just worship Donald Trump. You never want to admit that you were wrong. You voted for the wrong person. You voted for a dipshit. You voted for a crook. You voted for somebody who said he was for you, and he's not doing a goddamn thing for you. And rather than like have just an ounce of courage and be like, you know what? I was wrong. You're just going to double down on it while rich people get more rich and the American people suffer because of it. And part of the reason that we even passed this in the Senate is because Republicans are bribing people. They have no principles. Lisa Murkowski said, fuck all of America. Fuck them. As long as I get some carve-outs for some people in Alaska, everybody else can get fucked.
We had a incredibly rushed process with a totally arbitrary deadline in which people were basically adding billions of dollars, taking billions of dollars, crossing out provisions, amending provisions, making changes up into the last moment. And Senate Republican leadership had 4 holdouts, Rand Paul, Susan Collins, Tom Tillis, and Lisa Murkowski. Rand Paul would have moved if they had scrapped the debt ceiling raise in the bill. That was not going to happen because they didn't want to do that because Trump doesn't want to do that. Tom Tillis had already made his position known, and he's retiring now, so that wasn't going to happen. So it came down to basically could they get Susan Collins, who hinted she was very much against the bill, or Lisa Murkowski. And through a series of provisions, basically gifts to Alaska, they got her vote. And what's kind of remarkable about this is that Lisa Murkowski managed to score some provisions to shield her own state from the devastating consequences of this bill in order to vote for it. And she acknowledged that those devastating consequences will now be inflicted on 49 other states. Right. And she said, well, I'm going to try to fix this, and hopefully it comes back to the Senate. In reality, and she knew this, the next step is for the House to just try to pass what the Senate passed, which means it will never come back to the Senate. And so Murkowski took a plunge. Whether she did it because she felt it was honestly coming back or not is up to her to explain. But I think everyone else other than her knew that this is the last time the Senate will likely get its hands on it.
Yeah.
She
sold out. She sold out. She said, I'm doing what's best for Alaska, but she's not. She's doing what's best for a few people in Alaska. And all for what are you guys getting out of this? Rich people get more money. You are getting nothing from this. You are getting $5 trillion in more debt that you and your children will have to pay off. You are not getting any tax relief yourself for the middle class. If you're poor, you're not getting any tax relief. If you live in a rural area, this means less medical coverage, even if you have health insurance. Even if you're not on Medicaid or Medicare or any sort of a government subsidized health insurance, you are going to lose hospitals. They're going to go under. They're going to go away. You will have to drive further to get medical care. You're losing access. And why? So rich people can keep more money. That's it. This is what's so fucking crazy about our country right now is everybody is voting against their interests except for a handful of billionaires. You all voted against your best interests. And frankly, I understand, like, I can give you a pass on voting for Trump in saying that you believed that what he said was going to come true. I didn't believe that. I think that you were wrong for voting for him. I think he was lying to you. I think I was right. But okay, you didn't believe people like us. Trump said he was gonna do this for you. He's gonna make life better for you, and now he's not. Now he's just selling you out to billionaires. At what point are you just gonna have a little bit of honesty creep through? At what point is your self-reflection going to be more honest and say, you know what? This doesn't help me at all. These mass deportations don't help me at all. This tax bill doesn't help me at all. This increased spending doesn't help me at all. It seems to me that all he's doing is giving handouts to his friend. Just be honest with it. Why are you guys all so afraid to say you were wrong about Donald Trump? Insurance premiums will go up. Your Nana's nursing home will close. Your energy costs will increase. It doesn't just hurt the poor people they hate. Thank you, Hazelnut. That's true. This is getting rid of renewable energy subsidies. That means the price of oil will go up. The price of energy will go up. All of your costs that means that the price of housing is going to go up. All of your costs are going to go up. And again, why? Because rich people need a tax cut for some reason. Typical life flight on a helicopter, 75 grand. God damn, that's high. Here's a Texas State Representative James Tallarico, who I hope finds his way into the federal government soon, attacking the big, beautiful bill in a very different way. And my Christian Republicans who are here, maybe listen up for a second.
What would Jesus do about a tax system that benefits the rich over the poor? What would Jesus do about a healthcare system that forces the sick to start GoFundMe pages to afford life-saving surgeries? What would Jesus do about an education system that ties a child's school funding to their community's property wealth? What would Jesus do about a justice system that incarcerates more people than any other country on the face of the earth? And what would Jesus do about an economic system that prioritizes profits over the health of our planet? Would he stay in his room and pray? Or would he walk into the seat of power and flip over the tables of injustice? We Christians are called to do more than charity. We are called to challenge the systems that make charity necessary. What would
Bingo. That's a maybe you listened to that, maybe you didn't. Conservatives, I hope you do. I hope that you have an open mind. Just a reminder, we have 37 minutes left. We've almost wiped out that gift goal. We're very close. Just a reminder, that's what we need to hit every day to keep the lights on here. We also have paid subscriptions through YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok. And as a reminder, on Saturday, I do have a debate with a conservative. His name is Stephen Kent. You can look him up. I met him when I filmed that Jubilee episode. And we've been trying to figure out a way to do a debate. We're going to talk about my contention that the deportations are doing more harm than good in the United States. So if you want a good long-form debate this weekend, Saturday night, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you have a paid subscription, you can watch that on this channel. If you don't, you'll need to watch it on Raging Tomatoes channel. It'll be a little bit different broadcast. But we look forward to seeing you Saturday night. Let's see if we can wipe out that goal throughout the rest of the day. I'll read any of your comments. I'll stay a little bit longer probably today too. But anything you guys can do to help knock out that goal would be greatly appreciated. You said this is your 2028 nominee. I still think it's going to be Pete Buttigieg. But if it's not, Tallarico would be a good option. Here's Representative McGovern. Reacting when Representative Joe Nagise explains the tax benefits that Lisa Murkowski sold out for.
Missing one.
Which one is that?
Whalers.
What's that?
I think you're missing one.
So this is now discussing the additions to the bill that are being placed. And Nagise is saying you missed one provision that was added to the bill. There's one more provision that you left out that you guys have added here that we need to discuss.
I think you're missing one.
Which one is that?
Whalers.
What's that?
A new tax break for whalers, right? Whalers. Am I?
Are you talking about allowing someone who uses a harpoon to deduct the cost of that harpoon?
Correct.
That's included. It's a business expense.
It's a new tax break,
It's
right?
a business expense that was capped at $10,000, and now they can deduct it.
Up to $50,000, right?
Yes.
Yes. Why was that added? I think we all know.
You'd have to talk to the senators.
I'd have to talk to the senators. I don't know. It was kind of convenient, Chairman Smith, that was the one addition that you omitted from that list you provided, but a variety of different provisions that different senators inserted for their own purposes. And of course, one of them was this whaling tax deduction for the 160 or so people that would be able to claim that in the state of Alaska, so that one of the senators from Alaska would feel comfortable voting for the bill. I don't think that that's, in my view, the way this process should unfold. But in any event, while we're having this colloquy, Chairman Smith,
is that all it took?
I'm not sure.
Mean,
yeah.
Boy, she's a cheap date. If that's
so.
what it took, yeah.
Eric says, thoughts on HVAC backing Trump again? I thought I asked HVAC yesterday if he was supporting Trump. I thought he said no. I don't know. I don't care. And listen, I'll do this again. If you think Jeff is a real person, you're out of your fucking mind. Jeff HVAC, whatever he calls himself, that is a character that he is playing online. It is no different to me than like if you guys like Mr. Thomas on TikTok. It's not different. HVAC is a character. Jeff is a character. Don't be offended or don't have any emotions towards a character. Enjoy it or don't enjoy it. He's a character. It's no different than reality TV. That is not that's not a real person that you're watching right there. And I'm not interested in defending him either. He does his own thing. I think Jeff's funny. I laugh when Jeff comes on. I think his character's pretty funny. If you don't, that's fine. You don't have to watch him, but stop taking him seriously. There's no reason to take that guy seriously at all. Leftist Connection said, instead of asking what would Jesus do, ask instead what is Jesus doing about anything, because as far as I can tell, it's nothing. No, he's busy. He's got stuff to do. Mr. Jesus is busy. Robin said, for another depressing day. Look, that's what weed's for. We get the news in the early part of the day, and we have weed for later parts of the day. It's called balance. I think that's how you call that, a work-life balance or something. I think that's what it is. Here's Jim McGovern. Jim McGovern had a great day. After Representative Mark Alford finishes coming, listen to what Jim McGovern says.
Choose to side with the American people and deliver on the mandate that they gave us back in November. I urge my colleagues to put America first, support the rule, and pass the one big, beautiful bill. And I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Gentleman from Massachusetts.
Mr. Speaker, cult much? That gentleman's poster says it all. It's not about American families. It's about one big party for Trump. It's about swelling up his ego. I now yield 1 minute to the gentlewoman from California, Speaker Emeritus Ms. Pelosi.
Look at this fucking, look, he put this up. He brought this. He brought a skinnier version of Donald Trump with a face and fireworks in America. And he screamed and he shouted and he gave all his best energy. And that's going to play well. Look, I bet if I go to his Twitter page, let's find Mark Alford. I bet he has posted this speech. This was just like, Donald Trump, please. I know you're not here right now. I'm publicly filleting you. Could I please fillet you in private as well? Let's see. Oh, what do you know? What do you know when you go to Twitter? What do you know? There he is. That's what Alford put up. Look at my guy. Yay. Oh, here's him giving that speech. Today we face a watershed moment for the American people. We were given a clear mandate by the American people, the America First agenda. We told all these motherfuckers we were going to Washington to cut taxes for the richest people in America, and we were going to increase spending by $5 trillion. And God damn it, we delivered on that promise to the American people to bend them over and fuck them deeply in the ass. Goodbye to TikTok if we haven't already lost it. Here's McGovern again, asking the question that we all want to ask. What the fuck is wrong with you people? How are you guys justifying this? How do you go through life worshiping Donald Trump while stealing from the poor? What the fuck is wrong with you? Is Trump now doing Viagra ads? Maybe. I had some other ones here, actually, real quick. James Allen said, keep up the good work. I think I read that one, actually. Appreciate it.
So I said to my Republican colleagues, what's wrong with you people? In this bill, you provide a $2 billion tax break for gun silencers, but you...
Oh, thank God. Thank God. An extra $2 billion that could have been used to give poor people food, but instead we're giving a tax break for gun silencers. That's very important.
But you cut SNAP benefits for vulnerable families, which, by the way, is on average $2 per person per meal. Jesus Christ, what are you people thinking? I reserve my time.
What does that tell you, Jim? If you make over $300,000 a year, there's a 75% chance you vote Democrat. And yet, Democrats want to raise taxes on the rich. They want to raise taxes on themselves. And you got a bunch of fucking rednecks in Mississippi going, don't take them taxes from them rich folks. That's the only way we can get them money is from them rich folks. Those rich folks are saying to tax them, and that's fine. They'll pay more taxes. But we're down here in Mississippi, and we say don't tax them rich folks. It's not fair. Why don't you take it from Geraldine down the street? She's 82 years old. She's going to die anyways. Why not accelerate that? Stop giving her any Medicaid. Stop giving her any food stamps. Just let old Geraldine die already so those rich folks can keep their money. That's how stupid this is. The richest, the wealthiest people in America, like the wealthiest districts in America, are saying, you should probably tax us more. And you guys are going, no, they don't know what they talking about anyway. They just want that socialism. All the richest people in America just want socialism. You understand how fucking stupid this is? The richest people in America that aren't billionaires are like, yeah, we can afford some more taxes. And the billionaires are like, you can't tax us anymore. We already pay $0 in taxes. We're paying effective rates of 1% and 2%. How dare you tax us more? And then their wealth just, every day they gain like $1 billion in wealth. And you guys are like, we can't tax them. It's not fair. It's not fair if we tax them billionaires. Yeah, do you see how stupid this is? This is why we get so fucking frustrated. We got a bunch of morons out here advocating for the rich, and the rich are like, we don't need it. And you're like, yeah, you do. Shut up. Where'd you learn that you don't need a tax cut? Fucking Harvard University? Not me. I'm Alabama Community College. I nearly finished one whole semester. I know about the economics. And the economics say it's common sense. If we cut if we increase your taxes, then we're all gonna die. So we're here for you, rich. Fucking crazy. The poorest states in America are like, don't tax the rich, please. Please don't tax the rich. I know that's not us. Stop advocating for blue states, folks. Republicans, why are you guys speaking for blue states so much? Why don't you take some of that money? Might make your state a little bit better. You guys have a real chance here to make life better for yourselves, and you're like, no, we can't do it. We need to be poor some more. Little math here. Republicans, many of you may want to check out. Here's Elise Slotkin, who just did a little bit of math for you folks.
I did a little math. If you're a family of 4 in Lansing, Michigan, making a total of $129,000 total, and you're on the Obamacare ACA marketplace, your bill will go up by $5,500 next year. That's a 52% increase in your health care bills. If you are Joe and Nancy from Lansing, Michigan, 60 years old, your kids are out of the house, they're grown, you make $82,000 a year total between the two of you, your health care costs, if you're on the marketplace, will go up by $13,000. That is a 197% increase in your health care bills.
America, MAGA, America first. How's that sound to you folks? Sound pretty good? We're just going to plug our ears and pretend we didn't hear that.
So what are Joe and Nancy going to do? Are you...
Jim, see that? There's a V. Okay, Jim? Up in that corner, there's a V. And it says Gen Dub 1. Download the app Discord if you don't have it. Add Jen on Discord. You can come up and debate me on any of this anytime. I will stop my show at any time to debate any one of you.
You're going to pay for health care if it goes up by 197%? Think of your own health care. No. Joe and Nancy are going to be at risk for being off health care. And the combined cuts between Medicaid and Obamacare and the price of everyone else's insurance going up, we believe that enough people are going to be kicked off that it's going to feel really close to 2010. When the #1 cause for bankruptcy in the United States of America was medical debt because people don't have insurance.
All right, Jim. Let's do it, Jim. Here you go. Revenue by federal revenue by year. All right, Jim. Jim made the claim that every time we lower taxes, we bring in more revenue. All right, Jim. Let's look at revenues and deficits here. Let's see. That's not going to work. I'm going to need a graph. This is all budget deficits. I need just revenue. Federal government current tax receipts. Let's see if I can find it here. That's the... All right, this will be close. This will it'll at least break down receipts and outlays. All right. So let's go previously to, here's Obama. I got to scroll up so we can figure out. So this is the receipts. The first number here is receipts, and then it's a surplus or deficit. So receipts is going to be the amount of revenue that you brought in. And what we're going to see here is in 2017, we had 3,000, and I think this is in billions, $3,316 billion in revenue. It went up the next year when we cut taxes, and then it went up the next year. But then it went down, and we were still under those tax cuts. And then it went up, and then it went up under Biden, and up and up and up and up. But we only cut taxes that one time, right? But look at Obama. We didn't cut taxes during the Obama administration. It went up, 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 it went up. How about Bush? We had some tax cuts during Bush. It went up, or it went down. Then it went up, 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 Down during the Bush tax cuts. We had a down year. Weird. I guess that was 2008. How about Clinton? Did we have the tax cuts? Oh, up. It seems like it just goes up. It seems like the tax cuts don't have much to do with revenue, but what it does have to do with is surplus or deficit. Now we're talking about increasing. We're going to look at tax cuts and we're going to look at deficit spending because that's all that really matters, right? Is deficit spending. So let's look at the Bush tax cuts. Let's look at deficit spending during the Bush years. I think that Bush tax cuts were what year? Bush tax were 2003 is when they went into place. All right, let's look at Bush. 2002, we had a deficit of $157 billion. And then the tax cuts came in. And all of a sudden, our deficit was $377 billion. Then it went to $412 billion. Oh, then we got a little closer here. 318, 248, 160. Boom! Second set of Bush tax cuts. And the Great Recession, it went up. Let's look at the Trump tax cuts. Those kicked in 2018. Let's see if the deficit went up or down in 2018 from 2017. Oh, 665. It went up, massively up in 2020, 2021. Let's look at Biden. Oh, what happened here in 2022? Biden's at 8. Oh, the deficit's going down. We went from 1,800. Oh, it seems like that we were a little more responsible under Joe Biden. Our deficit spending started going back down. See this thing that you talk about? This is how easy it is for you guys to be duped. They say, oh, look, revenue went up. Yeah, revenue almost always goes up. 95% of the years, our amount of revenue goes up. You know why? We have more people and we have inflation. We have our economy by design, revenues have to go up because we try and be between 2 and 3% inflation. Revenues should go up between 2 and 3% every year. If tax cuts worked that well, we would see above and beyond the 2 to 3%, but we don't see that. You see the problem with your argument here? The problem with your argument is, well, tax revenue goes up when we cut taxes. Yeah, but when we don't cut taxes, tax revenue goes up too. So maybe it's not about cutting taxes, right?
So you better believe this is the same fight where we fought him in the first term, and we have to bring the same tools, the same education, the same information to our neighbors so that they understand what this really means.
Are you saying that COVID made deficit spending go down? After COVID, deficit spending was going down. I agree that COVID increased deficit spending, but deficit spending was going up under Trump before that. Joe Biden did have COVID. Most of COVID happened under Joe Biden. What are you talking about? Joe Biden, COVID started in like 2020. It was going through till like 2023. Most of Biden's presidency, we had COVID. I don't know what you're talking about. This guy needs to go to economics class. Which part did I get wrong, EE? This guy isn't showing you all. What factors am I leaving out? Budget slot.